That was someone else's idea to use Kashmir as a rap song.
By Led Zeppelin.
When Diddy would hear something down the hall that's somebody else's idea, he would steal that idea. Not only did he steal the idea, but he got Jimmy Page to be in the video for the God
did?
Song.
No.
Yeah. I got a call in the middle of the night one night from the owner of the studio, and she said, "You're starting on the Michael Jackson thing tomorrow morning."
Well, there's also pompous DJs, they just want to play their set.
Yeah.
They don't really care. It takes years and years to learn how to read a room.
99.9% of commercial music fails.
Way more than half of the stuff I ever worked on never even came out.
This brings people together.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Burn Down Podcast. Today in the studio, we have two guests, plural. We have one returning guest, our good friend, New York Cigar DJ Nino Brown.
How you doing, guys?
What's up, my brother?
Good to be back. Good to be back at the Burn Down. It's been 2 years, but we haven't missed a beat.
You're here. We're excited, and you brought a good friend of yours.
I had no choice, It's all about luxury guests,
That's it.
So
Grammy award-winning producer Tony Black. What's up, brother?
How's it going? How are you? Nice to be here.
Welcome to the Burn Down.
Yeah, welcome to the Burn Down.
We made the trip.
I know. We appreciate it. We're going to tell all the listeners, all the viewers, these fellas drove 2 hours to get here to the Burn Down Podcast studio. We appreciate you guys making the trek. I know
Queens,
it wasn't
right?
easy.
Because last time Nino took his scooter here, so he had to utilize the HOV lane this time.
Is it 20 miles at the most?
give maybe 25 at most.
Right.
So for the people, so that lets people know the traffic here in New York.
Yeah,
Okay,
we could've
and
did
not
on
just New York, downstate. Okay, Big Apple, Long Island. The traffic here sucks. If you have traffic wherever you are, outside of like L.A. and China, shut the fuck up. You don't have traffic like we have traffic. Okay,
You don't know nothing.
you don't know what you're talking about. 2 hours for 20 miles.
495. It's called the LIE. It's a big lie.
That's it.
Yeah.
Ain't going nowhere.
And the HOV doesn't do any justice.
Nothing.
Once in a blue moon, it'll actually work, but it'll never work. But anyways, we're here. You're in that. You guys are in the podcast
We made
studio. We're smoking Diligence. We're smoking Blueprints.
Yeah.
And
Drinking wine, drinking beer.
Sorry, I deviated. I went with the 6 though. I'm gonna.
That's fine.
I'm gonna do the Blueprint as my second, so I can mellow out with it.
Hey,
He's gonna mellow out. I like
That's
that.
a strong cigar.
I like to come in hot and then mellow out.
hey,
I like that.
it's your choice, my friend. It is your choice.
I love it.
So we have Tony, we have Nino, two music men, and I'm very excited to have Tony in here because
Yeah, man. This is
you're known from what I researched for being in the '90s era at the Hit Factory. You worked with a lot of my favorite artists. Preferably, one of my favorite is Nas. So I got to ask you a couple things about that. But let the people know, who's Tony Black? Who are you? Tell the who is this guy? Who is this Grammy Award winner? 80 million records.
And listen,
I wasn't
don't be humble here, okay?
Yeah,
This is your time to shine, all right?
All right.
Plug away if you got to.
I'm a New York City-based music producer, recording engineer, and mixer. Like you guys said, I go back to the I just got the look because I wasn't on the microphone quite as much. But I go back to the early '90s as far as that goes. Before that, I was a musician doing the whole trying to be a rock star kind of thing, playing guitar in rock bands, and then I progressed into the recording engineer production side of things. And next thing you know, I was in Manhattan making hip hop records, which that's when it all hit heavy in like '93. It's starting right around there.
How
Now,
does
did
one
you
fall
always-
into that? How do you fall into that?
Like, were you always a hip hop guy? Because you said you were trying to be a rock star.
Yeah, no, I was. It was an interesting evolution. Like I started out. I worked at a little music store in New Jersey while I was trying to become a rock star, and so that started me on the path of dabbling with gear. I would like lock the store up at 9 o'clock. We were in a strip mall, and then I would stay there till 4 o'clock in the morning, plugging in all the new stuff and experimenting. And then I became a big fan of Prince in the late '80s, nice. And that got me into the recording studio mentality of because he was known to do that, like kind of do his own thing with
lock
drum
himself in a room
drum machines and stuff like that. So that was like got me primed. I didn't know I was building a career towards being a recording engineer by any means. and a couple of little things that led from one career leading to the other. All of a sudden, I was introduced to some people at the Hit Factory in New York on 54th Street, and they gave me a shot somehow for some dopey reason. The owner decided to like give me a crack at being in the rooms, and I just kind of like took advantage of opportunities as they came, and
didn't tell them that you had no background in hip hop.
It was kind of interesting that the hip hop wasn't really a thing yet there. It was like mostly legacy artists. Like my first day, I saw Paul Simon and Joan Jett and David Bowie and Nile Rodgers and people like that. And then it would be like at night, you would see these things on the schedule like Groove Theory or Black Sheep. And it'd be like, what's that all about? Like, right, those are the hip hop sessions. We're starting to get a few of those. And then I started seeing little things like Bad Boy, Jodeci, Puffy, as he was known then.
Puffy. Puff Daddy.
We'll call him Puffy for now.
Puff Daddy.
Yeah, it was Puffy then. It was like, that was before the P. Diddy, but all those things. But
he got a record that was on, it's like a green record. You remember the movie Godzilla? When Godzilla came out?
Right, yeah.
He had a record on there, and I guess
it was a Led Zeppelin remake. Yeah,
and he was in that. That's.
I had that cassette tape.
Yeah, that's like from the Puff Daddy era.
And he was like an all white, I think.
He had a whole bunch of other songs, but I remember that song specifically.
I have a little background on that particular song.
Really?
So yeah, that was someone else's idea to use Kashmir as a rap song
by Led Zeppelin, right? Yeah.
And as he was known to do, when Diddy would hear something down the hall that's somebody else's idea, he would maybe steal that idea.
It's his idea now.
And then not only did he steal the idea, but he got Jimmy Page to be in the video for the Godzilla.
He did.
No.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And then it was, he stole it from Charlie Baltimore. That was going to be on Charlie Baltimore's first record.
Is that like
wow?
Because like you had mentioned that it wasn't until like the 90s, the early 90s, when hip hop really had a push and started becoming
the golden era.
The golden era of hip hop.
Yeah.
Cedric
So
Avenue.
what was that kind of one of the first? Probably not, but I guess one of the first records where they were sampling some of the older stuff for hip hop, because that wasn't really a thing. Like you wouldn't really sample, like the ages of the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. It's all musicians making the music. You weren't really doing.
No, that's what the older they were
making
doing.
beats and then rapping over.
That's all hip hop was.
No,
That's
the
all
80s,
hip hop
they
was.
Were they doing that in the 80s?
I mean, the first song that was on the radio was Rapper's Delight. Is a bass line from Nile Rodgers, Chic. Yeah. Good Times.
So is that
that's a disco track?
Is that all
that they rapped over?
Hip hop
most
is all
of hip hop is just sampling people.
They literally have a song set
in the beginning. That's how hip hop was created.
Set
just
the Sonics,
sampling,
right?
yeah.
Talking all that jazz.
I don't know all the like the little background stuff on like what samples or what, but I do know that there was a way, and I've never seen anyone do it, but the guys when they first started making beats, they would have two cassette decks and they would run one beat into the other and record it there and then record it back to the other one. They would keep going back and forth till they built a full song. Really crazy stuff. But I don't really claim to know.
Marley Marl was doing that in the 80s.
Yeah.
They call them...
There's a good documentary where they just talk about like the hip hop producers and the DJs. They would just be in record stores and they would just get a shit ton of records and they would just play it all and just find any kind of noise or sound that they thought they could make it into a beat or a song.
I mean, I find it amazing because when I was in college, I had dabbled a little bit in just like producing some music. I had a friend that was doing it. We were just trying to.
What was your DJ name?
I don't even want to say. In college,
I heard it on your podcast, the episode you were on.
Yeah,
2 years ago.
DJ Footlong, baby.
DJ Footlong. And
you worked at Subway, I guess.
Dude, I don't even know who fucking came up with that. Somebody came up with it. It's like a nickname. You can't give yourself a nickname, right? Somebody said it. One of the kids on the basketball team, whatever, and then it just fucking stuck. And but I found it very interesting because it was a group. I can't even remember the name of it, but there was a video that they had posted on YouTube of creating a beat. So they had this kid that was really good at freestyling, and what they would do is he would make a beat. Producer would make a beat. He would give him the beat, and he would write down random shit in a hat and give it to him. He's like, "Hey, you have to pull it out of a hat live and freestyle whatever you pull out."
Right.
And one of the beat that he made, he took a song from like the 1700s and sampled it and made it a beat. I was like, that's incredible. And it, from some orchestra, some big composer, I forgot what it was, and just turned into a hip hop beat. Said,
there's a website called
cool.
Who Sampled It, and you type in any song,
Whosampled.com.
Yeah,
it's pretty wild that you can just completely change,
because there's so many songs growing up that I would listen to, and I thought it was like the original song, and then as I got older and listened to more 60s, 70s, 80s, I'm like, oh shit. Sure. Like
and you don't even know some of the songs. You can't even tell what the original song is.
What's the song with going back to Cali? Hypnotize by Biggie.
Oh yeah,
that's Herb Albert.
Yes,
Rise.
So one day I'm at my house upstate and I'm listening to that song, and then that beat drops. Dum dum. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like,
they just removed
fucking Biggie.
They just removed the horn section. Right. That's all they did.
And that's all hip hop was. It was just sampling other songs.
So I have a question now. So how does one go about removing? Do you have to get the entire track or the entire song broken out by track to be able to remove? Like, how do you take a song and then just remove the drums from the song?
Usually they'll find some piece of an instrumental or some little fragment of the song where there was no vocal. But back when they were making the 90s hip hop and like late 80s hip hop, there was no software to remove anything.
You had to try to
find spots, find little pieces. And guys would, they just had the ear for doing that kind of thing. It was
just like drop the bass, remove some of the whatever you could.
Yeah, there were different ways to like edit things a little bit, but most of it was just finding a piece.
You would cut tape, actually.
Cut tape. But you would find a piece of a record, and that would be, we could use that. You know what I mean? And
like this whole section we can't use. There's too much going on, but this section we could use.
Yeah. If there was vocals, they would never use it. But there was always a spot that they could find something, and they were just creative with it, and they would use the turntable to like get a certain spot and sample that in. It's
an art form, really.
It was definitely an art form.
When did you start realizing like this whole hip hop era is really starting to explode? Like
when the budgets were like started blessing us. No, what happened was that it was the work that no one. First of all, they didn't have budgets like just say into the early 90s, like 90, 91, 92, the budgets weren't there, but then they started selling a bunch of records, and naturally as budgets go up, artists are like, well, I want to go work at like the big studio now because like we've got the money.
Yeah.
So that's how they wound up starting to book studios like Hit Factory and Right Track. Otherwise they used to be in the lower end studios, which it were Unique and D&D and things like that, where like they sucked up the hip hop early, and then as the budgets came up because of the sales went up, then they got talked into spending their money in the big rooms. And we want to know what it's like to work in this damn room. You know what I mean? And they made it very addictive. I mean, it's like going to a great hotel. When you can only afford Motel 6, you're like, okay, whatever. But you get like you get a little money in your pocket and you go to a nice hotel. And
like
now
a
you're
Ritz-Carlton or
I'm
something.
never going back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like when you fly first class for the first time. You get a little taste of the glory.
You're never going back.
Shit, I'm not going back.
Yeah.
Didn't you tell me about one time someone actually lived in the studio?
Yeah, it was him.
I put a couple of years in. But the Hit Factory made some accommodations for Teddy Riley when we were doing the Michael Jackson stuff. He had a separate, they built him a bedroom.
Wow.
Because he didn't want to leave.
What stuff? Well, Michael Jackson were you doing or working
The History album.
The History album.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So who is so you had said they gave you that shot right after you were locking yourself in until 4 a.m.
Yeah.
You found a spot. They gave you a shot. Who was the first, well-known artist that you worked for and you were like, damn, I kind of like a Mama I Made It moment.
Well, what happened was I got into the scene. I got my way in, and one night I got a call saying, and I was doing like just whatever was scrapping around. And I mean, I'm like, there were many times where like if the wrong thing had happened, I probably would have been like out, and my career would have been derailed completely. Like you would do stuff like, the receptionist would be like, "Hey, my boyfriend, he's a rapper, and can you record him in the middle of the night, without anybody knowing, like, so you can make his record?" And I'd be like, "For $50, yeah." You know what I mean? But like you'd sneak into the studio and you'd do this session and get out and realize like, man, if I got caught, I would be fired. But
for $50.
I didn't get caught
So
because
for
other people were
$50,
getting fired because you were just needed to make any
You're
money.
like, listen, I'm sleeping on a cot. I need that $50.
So what's your process like? Like, what are you actually doing? So an artist comes in and they're looking at you. What are they looking at you to do?
I would be the one recording everything, like getting it all onto tape and then getting their record to sound like a record. So there's all that part of the creative process that you're there for, facilitating whatever they needed to do. Like, I brought my beat on a drum machine, so I gotta we record this? Like you got to get it all hooked up, record it to tape, and then do the vocals, then mix it and make it sound like something. So that, to get back to the thing where the moment where I was like, oh man, what just happened? I got brought onto the Michael Jackson session in a random scenario because 2 or 3 other guys got fired, and so I got a call.
Fire for what?
I've told this
for bringing people in the middle of the night, $50.
Just fired. Usually, you got fired because like
the artist didn't like them.
It was just a vibe thing of like, the classic line used to be like, it just wasn't working out.
Yeah.
And
we don't feel that you're a right fit for this organization.
That was one of the lines. That was
the corporate way of firing somebody.
And that industry had no HR department. It was like, you were fired, and there was like, what do you mean I'm fired? I went to college for 4 years for this.
There's no union
goodbye.
there.
Yeah.
See you.
So anyway, I got a call in the middle of the night one night, literally from the owner of the studio, and she said, "You're starting on the Michael Jackson thing tomorrow morning." And I was like, okay.
And what year was this?
94.
What?
Wow.
Yeah. And
Michael who?
So how old were you, and how many years into
I think
this?
I was 29 at the time.
And how many years into the scene were you?
3 or like not really long in the
So
recording
you're still
industry.
new.
Yeah,
You're
I was
still
new.
new.
So I got pulled in, and
Were you nervous?
it was a no.
Really?
Yeah. It was a big crew. They had been already established there at the studio. They had moved in because of the earthquake in California. That's why Michael and his whole crew came to New York, because they all got freaked out by the earthquake in '93. So I came in, and I was like low on the totem pole in the whole scene. There was like 10, 12 guys in the room all the time. And one night, maybe a couple of weeks into the session, this producer guy who was like Michael's main keyboard player, no one wanted to work with him because he was batshit crazy, and he was like sleep deprived and like eccentric and totally nuts. One night he was like, I need somebody to stay with me through the night recording this thing. And like I just heard doors moving, and like all the other guys ran out of the room, and I was sitting there, and I was like, he's like, "Tony, will you stay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll stay. Whatever. I'll stay."
Like,
So
I was planning on staying anyway.
Yeah. Like, first of all,
My bed's right there.
First of all, I'm getting an hourly pay, and I'm like, I need the money, right?
Yeah,
so,
you're just in your head. You're like, cha-ching, cha-ching.
So he's
okay,
he's like, okay, cool. So we're working. He's like dabbling around for hours and hours. Now we're talking like, into like 3, 4, or 5 o'clock in the morning. A couple of times he asked me to record a couple of things, and I was like, all right. He's like, okay, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. It's done.
Now, what time did you start?
Like 11 in the morning. And
11 in the morning, day before.
Yeah.
So you basically almost stayed 24 hours.
Yeah, and then I was back at 10 a.m. I went home, took a nap, took a shower, came back. I walk in at 10 a.m., and I walk into the lounge where this whole crew was having breakfast. And they're like, "What did you do?" And I was like, "What do you mean, what did I do? What happened?"
I did my job.
And they go, "Brad loves you. He wants you to record him every night." And I was like, "Oh, all right, I didn't fucking do anything. Like I just did what I normally do.
I did my job.
Hit record, this and that. He asked me a question, I would answer it, and so then I became this like night engineer guy for the Michael Jackson stuff. Then I got to record Michael because I built up some trust with everybody. And when I came out of that session, the owner of the studio was like, "I'm booking you everywhere."
Nice.
And you're like, cha-ching.
I was like, how did I go from like trying to basically steal a soup from another lounge to like making a living? You know what I mean?
It probably makes you think, right? Where you had said there's sometimes there's things that people would do that get them ixnayed. If you didn't, not move, right? Everybody else moved when he said, "I need somebody to stay." If you didn't stay,
changed my whole life.
That one decision changed your whole life.
Yeah, because coming out of the Michael Jackson session with the Michael Jackson credit was like, walking around with the gold star on your forehead.
Yeah.
Sure.
Now, 1994 or 95, it was like,
that's the
you recorded Michael Jackson? You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah, no big deal. Yeah.
It was like,
that's my guy. No problem.
Now I'm going to record. Well, I want you to record me. Like Little Kim was, you're recording me now.
Oh, wow,
like
really?
that kind of thing.
Oh,
so
word got around pretty fast.
Very, very quickly. Yeah.
And then it just catapulted you from there.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, as I'm listening to you talk, I guess it's kind of like a...
You better make Nino talk a little bit.
Yeah,
please.
we're
going to get to the point about...
No, I'm good.
We got plenty of time.
Well, here's what happened. So last time we had Nino on, usually the guest doesn't really get to smoke because they're the ones talking all the time.
Yeah.
So now this time he's like, now I can actually smoke.
Yeah, I'm not relighting the cigar 17 times like last time.
Funny.
That's why if we interject for some stuff, it's more of a... Let's let you get a chance to puff on your cigar.
Yeah.
We'll interject some comments. So we're not interrupting. We're giving you a chance to smoke.
That's exactly true. Because when we have multiple guests, sometimes it's the first couple of questions of the first hour, so it's always favored to somebody else, and then you mix and match. But
they kind of have an idea who I am.
Yeah,
even though a lot has transpired in the last 2 years since I've been here. But we got Tony here. We got a lot to talk.
We got
about.
Tony and we got Nino here.
A lot has transpired.
Yes.
I thought I knew about everything.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this.
That's crazy how one night could change your life.
Because
one decision.
It sounds like I don't know anything about this industry, but when artists come in, they want to know who the guy is.
Oh yeah,
and it's like, well, Tony's the guy, and I want to work with him. That's how kind of
There's definitely a lot of listen. I was not any better at what I was doing that the day before that I did that to the day after I did that, but it was just literally the validation of like you're in.
Yeah. There's just an extra effort.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was like, okay, I'm glad that I didn't know it was happening when it was happening either. The usual kind of thing where you're like,
yeah,
you were just doing your job.
I didn't know that was going to be that big a deal. Otherwise, I would have been a lot more enthusiastic when this guy said like, you're staying all night. You know what I mean? Like I would have been. And even now you look back and you go like, man, I probably could have exploited that a little bit more. I could have.
You should have, would have, could have.
Yeah. There were some guys that were better.
Hindsight's always 20/20, though.
You know what I mean? Like they were better at network, making sure everybody had their business card and all that kind of.
Yeah, those guys ran out the room. Those guys didn't stay.
They did a lot.
They might be better at networking and stuff, but they didn't stay for 24 hours. Yeah. So
that was one of those random things where you're like, who knew? I didn't know. I didn't even know the guy before I started the whole thing. It was like I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
I know he was crazy. I mean, it was.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, is he a little, or was he a little? I mean, I know he was eccentric, but I mean, you've heard stories about was he?
Oh, MJ?
Yeah.
No, MJ was totally.
He's cool.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the. He was probably one of the more normal ones. He was not around the 18-hour days like we were. You know, we were doing, I just talked about this on my thing with a friend of mine. We were doing 110, 115-hour weeks.
That's crazy.
And he found out and actually freaked out. Michael did. Because
he was worried?
He was like, he didn't know that we were there around the clock. Like he would call in with like some weird request like, oh, well, I want to work on that song, but I want it to be, and I'm not going to do the Michael voice.
I was waiting for the impression. Hi, is Tony there? I just want to know if I can request something from him.
And I want to work on the song, but I want it sped up like a little bit. And I remember like one of the guys would hang up the phone after talking to him and be like, "Well, we're not going home," because it was different than
Michael
today
called.
with the computer stuff, whereas like you would just hit a button and you'd be like, speed the song up. This meant like re-recording all of the music before he was coming in the next day, and it was he thought it was like magic, like
He didn't realize what it took
he didn't know
to do
what the
that.
process was. And when he found out, he threw down this whole like, I don't want anyone working past 10 o'clock at night. I want you guys to get sleep and all this stuff. We didn't know what to do with ourselves when that happened.
I feel like sometimes the artists don't realize how much goes into a production. Case, perfect example for us. A lot of the listeners and the viewers, they don't realize how much goes into producing a podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
They just listen to the end result for an hour.
Yeah, you guys just talk and laugh.
Yeah, they go, oh, you just talk. It's easy. But they don't realize that it's hours and hours of preparation, of recording, of editing, of generating content. Like it's hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
They just see the end product. So a lot of times the artists probably come. They just see, oh, okay, here's the end product. They come in and they go, okay, here's your track. And it's been edited and all sorts and sped up or whatever.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, great, it's a track. But they don't realize that it took you 10 hours to do all of that.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Sometimes they don't realize it.
So let me ask you this, Nino.
Okay.
When did you guys become friends? I asked Tony before when you were coming in, but how did you guys link up and become friends? Because you're obviously in the music world, the DJ world. So where does this friendship come into place?
So it always comes down to, and I always tell people, it's this brings people together from all walks of life.
Absolutely.
You don't know. So I started frequenting this place in Manhattan called Cigar Inn.
Yeah.
And I started going there in 2009, and then I started to get to know the regulars. They didn't know me as a DJ; they just knew me as at the time I was doing pest control.
That's right. Yeah.
So
now Cigar Inn is Casa de Monte Cristo.
Casa de Monte Cristo.
We had this conversation already, but yeah.
Yes. So little by little, you just start to get friendly with the guys, and Tony just seemed like a friendly guy. And you would never think that Tony was this like upper echelon type of producer, because he was just at the lounge. He was Tony, just like I was Nino at the lounge. That was it. Like everybody kind of like left their job.
Yeah, just regular people.
Just decompress and have some laughs and watch the ball game, and that's it. Like, and then
that's honestly that's what's the greatest thing about the cigar culture, the cigar community. It doesn't like you could go into a lounge and you could sit next to a guy who is the next Elon Musk or a guy who shines shoes for a living, and you guys are equals. You guys are hanging out. You're watching a ball game. You're rooting for the Yankees or the Mets or whatever. Like you're watching a ball game. You're having a drink. You're having a laugh. You're having a conversation. Nobody cares. Like, all right, this guy's worth $100 million. Or this guy.
I mean, we've been in a room with billionaires before.
For sure.
Like, it doesn't matter. It's no big deal. Everybody's human. Everybody's enjoying this. They're all enjoying the same thing. We're all sitting down. We're enjoying a smoke. We're enjoying some laughs. We got a drink. That's the beautiful thing about cigars. It welcomes everybody into the community.
DJs usually think they're better than everyone else.
Is that true, Nino? Is that true?
There we go.
There's people that tell me all the time, you're the best cigar DJ, and I always have to remind them, I'm like, listen, I'm good at what I do, but I just strive to be the best. I never want to outshine anybody else. I just want to do the right thing, do the right job, and provide a good service for everybody to enjoy a good vibe. That's it.
As you should, though, right? Whatever your what's the word? Your niche, whatever your thing is.
Oh, it's definitely a niche.
Well, whatever your thing is, whatever your talent is,
you're
just trying to be the best that you can be at that talent. Doesn't mean you're better than anybody else.
Yeah,
you're just trying to be. This is what I do, and I'm trying to be the best.
I don't like arrogance at all. Like, I can't stand it. I mean, I appreciate when people give me those compliments. It's nice, but it's like at the end of the day, I'm just Nino.
Yeah,
I will say
sense that about you for sure.
We've had a couple of events, with you before, at the Borough Hotel on the rooftop.
Oh yeah.
You've been there? I've been there a couple of times.
Yeah, we had a couple of events
next to each other.
So he was the DJ. We were the cigar host, I should say. I mean, there was some other cigars there, but we were like the
featured cigar.
Which one?
And we were at the Borough Hotel.
Yeah, I've been there.
So it was, when did we do the roof?
Both, I think it was both of them was more.
We did
this year.
Not this year. Last 2 years.
Okay.
It was right September, first week of September. What's that? That's
Labor
Day. Both last 2 years.
Yeah, we did like an autumn smoke, which was like at the end of September.
Yes.
We had the heating lamps out there, but it was like nice.
It was popping. It was popping, and he's good at what he does. I will say that. Okay, he had that place bumping.
Oh, I had your friends and family. They were going nuts.
Oh yeah, we were.
The first year we did it, my brother didn't know what to expect. My brother he's a super for a construction company in Manhattan, so he came from like straight from work. So he's in his work boots, his outfit, and he thought he was gonna be there for like an hour. Mm-hmm. No. He ended up getting blasted.
Yeah.
He was like, bro, I didn't know what to expect. The music was crazy. The people were going nuts. I was having one of the best times in my life. I'm in my working boots. He's like, that place was.
He was like hugging me, giving me pounds and props.
Once my brother gets some alcohol on him, he's a lover. He loves to kiss you, hug you.
He closed the place down.
Yeah, literally, he did. He had a place. We had this whole little section. We were on pizzas and food and all sorts.
The food there is phenomenal.
The food there. It was so good. You had that place bumping.
Were you guys ever at any of his Friday nights at Cigar Inn?
No.
They didn't get to experience that.
That was insane.
And when did you? So you started going to Cigar Inn around 2009?
Summer of 2009, and then little by little, I started going to the. They had another location on the Upper East Side on 73rd Street. That's really where me and Tony got like really cool.
Because I want to know how about your relationship. Like, how did you guys blossom?
I don't exactly know the exact.
Because you guys have been friends for more than 10 years.
I would try and talk to him, but while he was DJing, he's like, don't bother me unless you're gonna give me some money, for a song. I'd be like, by the way, I did the Vibrant thing, and you'd be like, yeah, right.
Play one of the songs I produced. Shut up.
It's crazy. When he said "Crush on You," I was like, "You got to be kidding me!"
I was like,
Caesar,
and then Mike Hatch backed it up because it's his cousin.
It'd be funny. You got to give him one of those tracks where it's a real challenge for him to try to throw it into the mix, right? Like he's in, because you can't. It's one of the things that I don't like about some DJs is they don't read the room. Like we've done events before where and we have no control over the DJ. Whoever the event coordinator is picks a DJ, and we've had some events where the vibe's going right, and you see the people, they're dancing, they're having a good time, and they're moving, and then the DJ like switches it up and changes the style of music, changes the vibe, and then people leave the dance floor, and I go, dude, you got to read the room, man. Like you got the girls up, you got to get the girls up, right?
Number one thing.
If the girls are up, the guys are getting up, right? So this guy was playing. He saw the crowd, and he was playing a little bit of like some of the Spanish hits. And these girls were loving it. They were dancing. They were having a good time. And I'd be like, if I'm the DJ, I'm playing fucking Spanish. Okay, I'm throwing reggaeton, bachata. I'm throwing it all out there.
Wow, you said that like a real gringo.
Okay, because he's.
Don't you love when people do the switch up? They speak like this, and then like something foreign comes in, like the reggaeton. And you're like,
I had a girl one time. She's like, hey, can you play some reggaeton? I'm like, you mean reggaeton?
You mean a reggaeton, right?
Well, everyone does it. Everyone's guilty, but it's
bachata, merengue. They're playing all this stuff, right? But he switched it up and started playing some. Now, granted, I like Biggie. Don't get me wrong. But he started playing some Biggie, and the girls were kind of like, the vibe dropped a little bit. And I said, dude, you got to read the room, right? So it's like sometimes you get these DJs that don't really...
Well, there's also pompous DJs, they just want to play their set.
Yeah.
They don't really care.
That's a bad DJ.
It's not good, and it takes years and years to learn how to read a room.
You gotta keep the heartbeat of the dance floor.
This still is imprinted in my brain. This is how bad the transition was. I remember I was...
Do you know the event that I'm talking about? It was a recent event we did. And I'm not going to say
let's
who
not
it
put
was.
them on blast.
Not putting them on blast, but it was an event that we did.
I can't think of it right now.
That's how bad it was.
But that's where you like. So I was going to say you kind of go up there and you give them a track that's just completely not with the vibe, and see like here's the challenge. Mix that in there some way.
Listen, you want to take chances. You want to try to push the envelope sometimes, but sometimes it just doesn't call for it. You just got to go with what works.
It's all about the BPMs. Right?
Sometimes you keep it simple, right? Sometimes you keep it simple.
Well, like. For instance, I remember being at a club. I was visiting one of my friends in Maryland or somewhere, and the vibes were bananas. I think the song was "Real Love" by Mary J. The remix, right, with Biggie. Real love. Everyone's going nuts, and then all of a sudden it ends, and then
there's a vocalist.
Tupac, thank you. And then Tupac Changes comes on, like the beginning. So it was like "Real Love," and it was din 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 din. And I'm like, what kind of fucking transition was that? Like, complete two different vibes. Like, where are you going with this?
That doesn't go.
And I was like, and still to this day, it's like one of the worst transitions I remember.
Sometimes, like, I don't know what the transition, what they call it something when you have two completely different like BPMs, different vibes,
kind of thing.
And you just kind of like cut one and just drop the next song in.
That's just there's no word for that.
Is it
okay?
just like
that's just trash?
Is it trash? Okay. But I've seen I've heard some where there's no like blending, there's no nothing.
It's
they
an
inexperience. They just drop it in.
Yeah, inexperience.
And sometimes it works.
Right.
And people go nuts to like, especially if it's like a hard track where everybody knows the for instance, there's the
Justin, there's a way to drop it in that scenario, but like usually if I do something drastic like that, it's like because like a wise guy was like, "Yo, here's $20, play this song now,"
and then you drop it.
And I'm just like, "Okay, no problem, just throw it in." And then the crowd's looking at me like I'm funny, and I'm like, "Listen, I just got threatened and taken care of." So,
but like for instance,
has that happened before? It sounds like it happened before.
Like for instance, there's that song. What's that song by Lil Jon? Get Low, right? It's like dum dum dum, right? Some people they just playing a song, they cut the song, they drop that in. And people go fucking nuts, right? But it's a well-known song, and if it matches the vibe, there's no need for a transition. They just fucking drop the track, and everybody goes ape shit.
There's a time and place,
but sometimes you drop a track, and you're like, that. You feel the energy like that.
Tupac changes.
That doesn't.
I did it the other day. And it was weird because I did it when the Yankees lost a game, but like the Yankees for
a game.
Okay, well, this game in particular.
They lost that whole fucking series,
so
man.
Changed the whole vibe.
So there's this blend that I did, and it was like I dropped Frank Sinatra in New York, and then I went into Empire State of Mind.
Yeah.
And it was like,
nice.
it worked. It worked. But like, I don't know why the Yankees do this at Yankee Stadium, and they played New York after a win or a loss. I don't understand that.
I must ask you, what do you think about the Fat Joe performance?
Listen, I think the problem was the audio didn't match in the stadium. Like it felt like he was rapping and like it didn't match to the stadium. Like if you were in the game, because I knew guys that were at the game, there's a delay. I think that messed it up. As opposed to Ice Cube in L.A., that was like they synced it perfectly.
Yeah, that was nice.
And that was the energy was good. I mean, love Fat Joe. He's a legend.
Yeah, of course.
But like I felt like
extreme.
I felt really.
What'd you say?
He goes, that might be extreme.
30 years.
Legend's a strong word.
30 years. Come on, lean back.
That might be extreme.
All the way up.
My lifestyle.
Stop.
Come on.
Well, let me ask you this. Did you work with Fat Joe at all?
Yes, he did.
And
He did.
Pun.
Okay.
And Big Pun. Yes.
Okay. So I was gonna say if he said no, then okay, he's biased. But no, he
Might be extreme.
So how was it when Big Pun walked in the studio?
He was a big dude at the time.
Yeah. Big presence.
He was a very easygoing, very low key dude. Very easygoing, mellow. I mean, there was. He was the he broke the door open for Fat Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. What projects were you working on with them?
I couldn't even tell you what they were. I mean, it was.
Guy's got 80 million records
there's
sold.
there's a lot of.
Well, I counted on his website. I counted 113 artists and producers.
Is that how many there are? And then I've forgotten a lot.
Look, I'll show you.
Look,
I
listen,
wrote the numbers. Look,
on
33,
Wikipedia,
35, 26, 32, 16. I added them all up.
Wikipedia, it says more than 80 million units sold or downloaded.
Yeah.
I think we stopped counting, but it's too painful.
It's got to be over 100.
Yeah.
It's too painful. I don't get any of that 80 million.
Come on.
It's a lot.
That's a good point, because I was going to ask you, like, because you always hear like how artists, they make songs and music and they don't get like their share because they sold like the licensing or the rights to their song. Like, how does that work for you? Like, how do you get credit? You just get paid for the session?
Yeah, I was, generally speaking, we're work for hire guys, so whether it sells or not, there is that advantage that you don't suffer if it doesn't sell.
Sure.
But if a big artist spends $600,000 making an album, which was not unheard of, and it didn't sell, they owed $600,000 to the label, who was basically the bank.
Because I learned that I learned about like the cash advance. I didn't realize like they'll give you the artist like $1 million up front, and then they have to make it back through everything that they did.
Yeah, everything is a loan. Everything's paid back.
Huh.
Even on the publishing side, if the publishing company gives them a $2 million advance, they don't get any more money until that $2 million is paid back out of their and the accounting gets really crazy, because just like with a bank, there's some form of interest, even though it's unwritten interest. It's kind of like well, there was a lot of returns, and
You got a year to make the $2 million, otherwise it's
you gotta-
2.1 or 2.5
or
whatever.
no, it never. I don't think it ever went up, but it was a lot harder to chip away. It wasn't like flat out like you did 2 million in sales and you don't owe anymore. It was like you did 2 million in sales, but there was 300,000 in returns, and we had to spend 200,000 more on your radio promotion and your this.
That's where it gets hairy.
It gets crazy, and then the artist is going like, "But I thought I paid about. I sold 8 million records, but
So unless you hit it big, unless the record is
less than 1%."
Yeah,
Because I remember
Of the people that
hit it big.
That
Yeah,
hit
no,
it
that's. I mean, that's in anything. That's
in
not even
any industry.
That's not even in the music industry.
Yeah.
That's like the sports industry. It's less than 1% of the people that all these high school kids that say, "Oh, I'm going to go pro." Okay, do you realize that's less than 1%?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Just try to get to college. Okay, if you get to college, you're in like the top 1% of athletes. Now going to the pro, it's the 1% of those.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and be thankful if you get a 5-year career like an athlete.
that's it.
That's
5
most
years.
definitely. Because what turned me on to that whole like scenario, and I think you worked with the Locks. The Locks was upset with Diddy because Diddy apparently like owned all the music rights and they didn't give it to them, and there was like a whole thing like they were threatening him on the radio station and all this stuff, and it was like I'm like, what is going on? Like, don't you just make music and make money? So I started looking into it. This was years ago, and I was like, oh, it's a lot more intricate than
There's a lot of
value.
It's either you make it huge or you don't.
Because I remember on your YouTube channel I watched, you said 99.9% of commercial music fails.
Yeah. I mean, more than half, way more than half of the stuff I ever worked on never even came out.
Wow.
So
Really?
oh, yeah. It just gets shelved.
Just nothing.
Just, like something happens. And then you'd get the word, hey, I'd be working with some A&R guy from a label, like, hey, what happened to that record?
What is A&R?
That's the artist and repertoire. But it was like the guy who would be there instead of the label president. They would send the A&R guy who was in charge of. It's like a project manager,
Okay.
and they would come by and be working on a project with him. Then that project ends, and then you see them like a month or two later on another project and be like, "Hey, what's up with that so and so record?" And they're like, "Oh, that's on pause."
On pause.
And that just meant.
Shelved.
That's like when they say, "Oh, you're no longer a fit for our company."
Yeah,
means
yeah.
you're fired. On pause means that shit's in the garbage.
I mean, I was
Go straight to DVD. Go straight to DVD.
straight to DVD.
I was in rooms with artists who were like, working on their record, and they're excited, and the label person comes by, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna be done this week, and this thing's gonna come out in the spring, and I'm gonna go on tour, and I'm gonna, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And then like the artist would leave, and the label guy would still be there while I was doing whatever I was doing, and he's on the phone, and I hear him going like, yeah, she thinks her record's coming out in the spring, but we know that it's gonna be like November.
Oh,
But the artist doesn't know this.
Artist
shit.
has no idea.
And then here I am like,
The guy in the middle.
okay,
Okay.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
Like,
you've already done your job. Like, listen, I produced it. It's not my responsibility to
It's-
market this and get it out
and
there.
it's not my move to give the bad news to somebody.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
you know what I heard? You know what I mean?
It's
Like,
not your job.
Yeah.
Have you ever like built like any good relationships with any of the musicians or artists that you worked with?
Yeah, you're still friends with any of them today?
Yeah. Most of them. I mean, I had a fortunate run where I somehow, like, I was known to be the guy who, like, got on projects and, like, they were long term. In the very beginning, I was doing a lot of, real quick one-nighter kind of things. But then all of a sudden I got with the entertainment crew, which was Lil' Kim and Junior Mafia and Little C's and Biggie were all involved. And I was with them for about 2 years until Biggie passed. And then I got lucky, and it was just like I slid over to Stevie J.
Oh,
And
wow.
I worked with him for 3 years on a million projects because he was producing everybody from like Mariah Carey to Faith Evans and anybody. We were all over the world like doing records together. And then right when he was hitting the wall in his career, I met Alicia Keys. And then I got pulled into her camp for 5 or 6 years until I decided to leave that. So it was like I got lucky in that I was a long-term dude somehow. My friend,
A long-term dude. I like that.
friends of mine were like, you got them you got them used to the crack, and then they can't get rid of you.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know.
One hit and you're stuck.
I was like, I don't know what I don't know how to explain it. I'm not trying to fucking find out.
I'm just doing my thing.
Just
You didn't
doing my
produce
thing.
that Mariah Carey track with the Christmas track, did you?
No. That was before
The one
my
that
time. Yeah.
Were you working
Because
with...
listen, we're in November right now.
It's already started.
It's out. It's out.
It's coming.
Please.
It's already out.
It's
No.
got to be. I went to
No.
Target the other
November
day.
1st. They're already doing Christmas.
I went
commercials.
to listen.
Come on, man.
No,
I
they
went to
waited till
hold
actually
on.
after the election. They waited.
You play it?
I went to Target
I have to, yeah.
on November 2nd
Yeah.
because we have a Halloween party every single year, and Halloween was on a Thursday this year, so we had our party on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And I went to Target that Saturday to pick up some last minute essentials for the party, and they already had the Halloween stuff
Oh, yeah,
gone,
yeah.
full
Yeah.
Christmas section.
Christmas, yeah.
I went into Uncle Giuseppe's to pick up some food for the party, and they already had a guy singing Christmas songs. And I go,
Nuts.
we haven't even got
Thanksgiving.
Halloween was 2 days ago.
That's amazing.
And we haven't even gotten
I
to
can't stand it.
Thanksgiving
The
yet.
day after Thanksgiving is the earliest.
So
thing
you
can
know that Mariah Carey track is on the radio.
do. Well, you see all the videos on like social media. It's like it's like
Really?
as soon
It's
as
out already.
As
It's
soon as
out.
like you leave the house on November 1st, you hear like and they're like, what the hell's going on over here?
Right.
I mean,
right.
Elf is already trending on HBO.
Yeah.
Oh
it's-
my
yeah.
god!
Like,
'Cause
come on.
There's
Yeah.
people because I know people that they're like, I cannot wait for Halloween over because I'm full Christmas mode. I'm like, yo,
Wow.
come on, you got Thanksgiving's a great freaking holiday. I love
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Well, that's why
Come on.
I love this time of year because October's Halloween and then November Thanksgiving and then you got Christmas and it's like bang 3 months 3 holidays and it's fantastic and it's always at the end of Halloween's at the end of October, end of November's Thanksgiving, end of December's Christmas. So you got these 3 holidays, so you get to use the month to look forward to the holiday. But then everybody just forgets about Thanksgiving and goes, I'm Christmas mode.
Yeah.
Well, wait a second, we have all Thanksgiving here. Like this is a big holiday.
Slow it down.
Slow
Yeah.
it down a little bit, all right?
It's all
I don't
corporate.
want to pass the Biggie thing.
I don't. Yeah.
Did you work with Junior Mafia on the I forgot the name of the one album that they made together? Was that the album that you worked with
Yeah.
them on?
I think they only did one record,
yeah,
right?
I forgot
Yeah.
what the album.
I mean,
was
I did
called.
like a song called White Chalk. I worked on Get Money. I worked on.
Oh, really? That's a fucking banger.
And that was true hip hop. That was literally
Yeah.
like
So what?
a
When you
couple
say
of
you
tracks
worked
of
on
drums.
Get Money, what you actually putting this composing the song together, mixing?
no, I was
and-
recording it all. I was like mainly in the mode of like recording and mixing. Like I don't remember who produced that. You might know. Produce Get Money,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
he's like the Wikipedia of the.
but
Well, I know you're a big fan of Easy Mo B.
very
yeah,
big
well,
fan.
he was big on the
Yeah.
first album, Ready to Die.
Yeah,
So maybe,
yeah.
but
He did Warning.
yeah,
It's and Juicy, I think, right?
Juicy was on Ready to Die.
Yeah.
But I think Easy Mo B did a lot on Ready to Die, which is Biggie's first album. But I mean, my question is,
You're rating the line of smoke. Is that because of the fan?
it's just the way it is.
No, it's
Yeah.
both because it's
It
It's
sucks
return and transfer.
yeah. So we have our exhaust is
We got
exactly.
blue collar Brown in here,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah.
Blue collar Brown,
But,
in the building.
Did you guys flip for who sits on which side? Because
No,
you're
it's,
not.
just-
Gonna, you,
it's actually funny because it's weird
It's
how
always me. If
sometimes
you always see me like this, because I'm always getting smoke.
Yeah,
in my
you're
eye.
getting
what's
it,
interesting
man.
is when it's just us.
yeah.
It must be. I probably could grab some scientist in here and talk about like aerodynamics and the flow and stuff.
Sure.
But when it's just him and I, the smoke pushes towards me. But when we have guests in here, the smoke pushes back towards him.
You need a little fan over
So
here.
I don't
Yeah.
know if it's
We don't need a
because
scientist. We need blue collar Brown.
if
just
it's
tell us
because
what's
there's
going on.
nobody here, so the flow comes this way, and then it gets blocked. And I don't know,
You
but
need,
I'm
you
gonna
need
fix it.
goggles.
Yeah.
I need glasses. That's what I need. Yeah,
but he's always the
because I'm Italian, so I have very
Okay.
oily skin. So
he's got that
anytime-
olive oil.
A lot of the times when I wipe my eyes, I always call it the olive oil coming out of my skin. It just irritates my eyes. So I'm like, for like 5 minutes, I'm just like wiping my eyes. I'm crying.
Yeah, he just has
Yeah, let me
he's
help
got
you
a
out.
magnet.
Yeah, here you go. Oh, thanks, Nino.
He's just got a magnet.
Yeah, I
so.
appreciate that. So how's Biggie like? What was Biggie like? How was that? What was that?
Listen, super nice guy. The thing to keep in mind is that he was just
Brand new.
really young.
Yeah.
I
when
think he
did-
was like
how-
23 years old.
That's when you started working with him.
Yeah, he was 23 or something like that.
Now, when he came in,
Mm-hmm.
now I guess this is a question for like a lot of the artists too before they became big. When he came in, when he first got on,
Yeah.
were you sitting there like, looking at each other like this guy's
me? No.
No?
No. I mean, I was oblivious to the whole thing. Legitimately.
You were just doing your job.
I was just doing my job and like just trying to, my whole gig has always been to try and relate to the artist. Like whatever the artist is going to need.
Yeah, like what are they trying to envision going on? I'm going to try to make that happen.
And I think that's, look, I could look back now because it's 30 years or whatever. But like, if anything was the secret sauce, is that like, that was my main interest. Was not me, it was the art, and it was the music. And it was like, I didn't treat, one of the things I made a conscious effort of was, no artist to me was more important than another artist. So like,
you all got the same treatment.
Yeah, like so Michael Jackson got the same treatment as Biggie, as Lil' Kim did, as Lil' C's did, or The Lox, or Cam, or any of these people. It was like, you just came in and it was like, what do you want to do? What do you need to do? And I want to help you do it.
Sure.
And
that's great. That's how it should be. And
that is how
I applaud you for that, because that's, a lot of people can get a little starstruck sometimes, and
sure.
That's honorable that you're
with the
that
Michael
like, listen,
thing.
I don't care who you are. I'm giving you the same treatment as everybody else.
Now, sometimes you're like, you pinch yourself because you're like, wow, I'm glad I'll tell you that when I first met Alicia Keys, I worked with her one day. I got a call. I was coming out of the Stevie J thing, and her label was J Records. And the girl that was managing Stevie J, woman, she was working at J, and she called me up, and we had talked every day for 2-3 years, and she's like, I have a session for you to do. It's with this new artist of ours, Alicia Keys, and she wants to do vocals, and you've done a ton of the background vocal thing, and she wants to do something that's a little bit like Destiny's Child. And sessions tomorrow at noon, right, at Quad. And I showed up as usual, like, hey, my assistant or whatever. Alicia Keys walks in with her production partner. She's just wearing like a baseball hat and jeans. I was like, what do you want to do? She's like, well, the label wants me to make this thing sound like a little bit of a Destiny's Child thing for this Dr. Dolittle soundtrack. Dr. Dolittle 2 or 1, I don't remember. So I was like, all right. So like, I was telling her like little things like, yeah, typically we do 4 tracks of each note to get this big sound. And she's like, then I want to do 6. And I was like, well, it's a 6 doesn't really, make a difference. But like, if you want to do 6, we'll do 6.
Yeah.
So we do these vocals, and it was a typical day in the studio with a singer, and get done. On the way home from the session, her production partner, calls me up and says, hey, Tony, we want to buy a microphone and a piece of gear to like do some stuff on our own in our demo studio. Like, could you recommend this or that? And I was like, yeah, just get this. Yeah, you could get that. That's cool or whatever. Like, yeah, anytime you want, call me up. I'll let you know. So session's over. A few weeks later, I'm at home and I'm like, what is this Fallen thing? Like, what?
Oh yeah,
this girl is number 1. And I had no.
It's a great song.
I had no idea. I was like, I called up the girl from the label. Her name is Rainey. I was like, Rainey, how did this Alicia Keys record become like the number 1 record in the country? She's like, oh, she was on Oprah and she's now she's our featured thing. And I was like, I had no idea.
I had no clue.
I had no freaking idea. And then the next thing you know, they called me up personally, and they were like, yeah, we want to start doing some new stuff at Quad, and we want you to record it. I was like, all right, cool, so I showed up, and we were all like hugging, and like, hey, I was like, hey, congratulations. I didn't know you were.
This is one before the album was complete. This was just the one song.
No, it was out.
Oh, okay.
And
then the Diary of Alicia Keys.
No, this was songs in A minor, the first one.
Wow.
So then,
well, that's the album, right? You worked on.
Yeah.
The Diary.
So
of Alicia
the Diary
Keys.
of Alicia Keys, I wound up doing after this. So what happened was, all of a sudden we started working together, and then they got a little house out in Rosedale, which I was telling Nino about on the way here. and they're like, "Can you come out to the house and set us up or whatever?" And I was like, "Yeah, all right." So like I drive out to this little house in the basement. Alicia's like vacuuming, and I'm like
Humbling.
plugging in shit. She's got like, sweatpants on and stuff like that. And all of a sudden I was in the family.
That's
like,
amazing.
And I was like,
"You want to stay for dinner? Or we have dinner."
It was basically like that. And it was like, "All right, yeah, you're coming back tomorrow?" And I was like, "Yeah, so I drive out there." So that went on for a while. And we started working on things that she started producing. So we started traveling around together. Then it came to around time where they were like, "Hey, we're getting ready to do the second album.
I thought that was her first album. Okay, I didn't realize.
So yeah, the second one. So like we're getting ready to do the big second album thing.
Yeah.
Like, are you down to like do the whole thing? I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." And that was a weird thing, is that like we were trying out a studio one day in NoHo on Bond Street just to see what the vibe was like, which was what I was told. And I didn't leave for 11 months.
Wow.
That became the record project.
Man.
And it was like, like I said, one of those things where like you don't know what's going on.
You step into
you
shit.
don't realize what's happening in the moment,
Until it's
and then
going
when you
on.
look back, you go,
Yeah.
"Holy shit, that was."
And
I'll tell you a funny cigar story off of that was
Absolutely.
You were smoking cigars while she was vacuuming in the basement.
no, but I was already smoking. I was smoking in the mid 90s. I turned Cameron and Jay-Z onto cigars.
No way.
Oh, okay. Hold on a second.
Hold the phone.
Hold the phone.
Mic
He's
drop.
got a cannon. All right.
Done.
Wow. We might even need to pause and then regroup. You got to tell us
Come
that.
on.
I
Let's
didn't
let's
even
hear
know
that. Let's
Yeah.
hear. Oh, even Nino just found that out.
Damn.
What the? Wow.
So how
So
does
all right,
that
tell
happen?
us this story.
'Cause
So there was-
obviously Jay-Z's a big cigar guy now.
Yeah, now. And then
And what's funny is after you tell the story, we'll tell you a funny story kind of related to Jay-Z
Okay.
with our cigars.
So there was a couple of engineers in New York that were like, I guess, on the verge of becoming like well-known big deal guys. I guess myself, I'll say. A guy, Tony Maserati, who's still a legendary guy in the business, and Rich Travali, so Italian dudes. Some of us, like, none of us were weed smokers or anything. The clients were. But we would have our little like cigar situations where you were allowed to smoke indoors back then.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you're in the studio and like no one's gonna be around. You're like, what am I gonna do? Eat again or have a stick? So
Sure.
like, I'll have a stick. So Cameron comes in one day. He's like, "Tony, tell me about these cigars."
He
You know what
is
I mean?
one funny motherfucker, Cameron. That
I
anytime he
did his
talks,
first album.
Did you really?
Oh yeah, it was the funniest time of my life.
Oh, I can imagine. He's
Yeah.
hilarious. That
Him and
guy.
Jimmy Jones were
Oh.
like just buddies at the time. So he's like, "Tony, tell me about these cigars," with that crazy lispy thing, And I was like, I get him down the street at it was called Della Concha Cigar on 6th Avenue.
Yeah.
It became Davidoff eventually.
Yeah, it's still there.
But it used to be a cigar shop, like old school, like dudes behind the counter.
Smoking jacket.
Damn.
And they had like all the cigars in a glass tray. Like you couldn't like reach in and grab a cigar. It was like, I'll take one of those Partagas and one of those Fuentes.
You got to order it.
And they'd be like, "Okay, sir," and they'd like get them all out for you. They'd package them up for you, and it
like
was
Rodney Dangerfield. I'll take 2 of those, and 3 of those, and 1 of those, and 4 of
one
those.
time
and
I
box
was
of
in
it.
there, and like Joe Torre's in there, like getting cigars, and
That's
like
sick.
it was old school New York, right at the tail end of like that kind
the
of thing.
good old days
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
smoking cigars. Yeah.
So, anyway, Cameron's like, "Let me try one of those cigars." And I'm like, "Yeah, all right." So,
do you remember what you gave him?
Nah, it was some shit cigar. So then I learned. So then I learned. I was like, "Wait a minute, these fuckers aren't gonna smoke these things and really enjoy them. I better get like a bundle of some shit from JR because they used to have a store in the city."
5th Avenue.
Yes. So let me get like some JRs, take the labels off them, and be like, "Here's a Cuban."
Hype him up. Hype him up, baby.
No, you didn't.
The first question, you guys know,
Of course.
Yeah.
is that a Cuban?
Oh, God.
Yeah. try it.
Yes, it is.
And rappers want the most expensive. They want the
want-
top
yeah.
line shit.
Tony, you get me the Cubans? You got
Yeah, no
it.
problem. I got it.
and they'd smoke like this much, and they'd be because they're used to inhaling.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
so
yeah.
they're all getting all out of whack. But so they had like Jay-Z, got acquainted to the cigar thing, and a few others. There was a few others that got into it, and then Steve Stout. He was like a well-known cigar guy. He had a cigar with. He had the Stout cigar with. It might have been La Flor Dominicana did the Stout.
LFD did that?
Really?
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
look
like
it up.
a torpedo-ish kind of thing,
Yeah.
or whatever you call perfecto.
Yep, that's one. Yeah.
And Steve used to suck the air out of the room when he would come in. He was like one of those serious. Look at a huge ash here on the table.
Come on.
That's
not
what
the
we
first
call
one.
we call that stacking dimes.
Okay.
Wow.
So you would, I just can't go to say you would. It's funny that you say that because we, in the humidor, right? There's always, you break your cigars down into 3 different groups. There's your stash, right? That's like your babies. Okay, those are the ones that I may be holding on to them. I'm letting them age. Those are my babies, my special ones.
Of course.
Then you have a group that's like your everyday smoke. So I'm going to own a golf course. I want a quick stick. I'm pulling it out, right? Then you have a section that's kind of like the lower end cigars that for people that come over that see you smoking and like, hey, can I have a cigar? I said, oh, do you smoke cigars? Once in a blue moon, you give them one of those. So it's funny that you were going in. You're like, all right, I need to get a stash of these, and I'm gonna take the labels off. I'm gonna tell them that they're Cubans and give.
There's so many times you give people cigars and you want to be like, oh, it's a good cigar, and they're like, oh, that's great, and then 10 minutes later, it's like a quarter of it's in the ashtray. And you're like, motherfucker.
What I actually do is in my I have a couple of humidors in there that what I've done is those cigars that are not the highest quality, I put them on the top shelf.
Okay.
So that when people ask, hey, can I have a cigar? I said, yeah, go inside. And you know what? Anything off the top shelf you can grab. And they go,
beautiful.
Top shelf? I said, yeah, anything you want, top shelf. They go, really? I said, go ahead, no problem. And they go in, they go, thank you so much.
Those are JRs, baby.
And they're like, they're the factory rejects and it's just on the top shelf.
I mean, that's. I think that's legit. They're like, there's nothing more heartbreaking than giving someone a $20 stick, and all of a sudden they're like,
I gave my brother-in-law on my bachelor party once a Padron 45. It was like 12 o'clock at night. And we're going in the hot tub, hanging out with a drink and have a cigar. He's like, yo, can I grab a cigar? I said, yeah, grab anything you want. He's like, I'm going to grab this Padron 45. I said, great cigar, bro. Yeah. So whatever, we're hanging out. I go to bed. I wake up in the next morning, and it's like this much smoke. And then I'm like, yo, you just ruined a $40 cigar. He's like, my bad, bro. I didn't realize what it was expensive.
You better finish that now.
Yeah. You got to smoke it now. You're not supposed to relight it, but relight that motherfucker and do that.
I had one for, we were watching the Super Bowl one year, and it was, so my stepdad, big cigar guy, my uncle, cigar guy, and like smoke cigars, right? They'll smoke. My stepdad smokes at least once a week. My uncle, I don't know, maybe he smokes more than when we're together. I don't know if he smokes a lot when he's at home and stuff, but he does.
Social smoker.
He does smoke cigars. So I had gotten, at the time, this was years ago, I had gotten, this is when the Opus X 20th anniversary, the blue label came out. And they had a size called God's Whisper, and it was like a perfecto, probably like a 56 ring, maybe like 6 inches, and it was tapered on both ends. Beautiful cigar, expensive. And I bought 3 of them. I said, we're gonna smoke these on the Super Bowl. Great sticks. So I gave him the cigars, and it was like halftime was just about to start. And I don't know who the person that was performing was. I didn't really have any interest in watching it. Side note, I think that you're a fan of Prince. I think he had one of the best halftime performances I've ever seen in my entire life.
It literally rained during Purple Rain.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It was
how poetic could that be?
One of the best halftime performances I've ever seen. Wow. May he rest in peace, because he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I forgot who it was, but I gave him the cigar, and we're starting to smoke it, right? And the cigar is going to take an hour.
Sure.
Right.
At least.
So now we're like 20 minutes in or something. And he goes, he's like, all right, I'm going to go back inside. And it was a little chilly out. He's like, I'm going to go back inside. So what are you going to do with a cigar? He goes, I'm going to cut it. I said, you're going to what? He goes, I'm going to cut it. I'll put it back in the humidor. I said, you're going to what? You're going to what? Whoa. I said, first off, you never cut a cigar and put it and then relight it later. Second of all, you put it back in the humidor? So you're going to ruin everything. I said, what do you, just give me that shit, okay? Hold on. We'll come back out in like a half an hour to time out or something. We can finish it. I looked at him like he had 9 heads. I said, have you lost your fucking mind?
No shot. Come on.
You're going to put that back? You know how much that cigar cost?
That humidor's going to stink.
If you're Nino, and I witnessed this the other day.
Oh, here we go.
We went out. He's smoking as we're walking down the street, and I'm going to have some food. We go into the bar. He puts it on this little sign outside on 35th Avenue. And like we go in and eat for like an hour, and he comes out and he gets his cigar.
Attaboy.
And he relights it.
Attaboy.
Hey, listen,
every little last inch.
Listen, I did the same thing when I was in Salem. I went to Salem with my wife for Halloween for a weekend, and I was smoking a cigar on the walk from our Airbnb to the restaurant, and I had a little bit less than this. And I'm like, dang, it's a good stick. She's like,
I don't want to let it go.
She's like, just put it down. So I rested it down like in the I just rested it down, right? And we go eat, gone for an hour, come back, and I said, still there. She's like, listen, I'm not gonna say anything. Go ahead, grab it. I was like, all right, picked it up, walked the rest of the way home, and it was fantastic.
It's leaves.
That's it. You got to relight it. You know what, Nino? I want to get back to one with you real quick with Jay-Z, but before I start seeing you doing all the pull-ups, and all the scaffolding, then I start seeing you doing pull-ups with the cigar.
Yeah.
How did you start?
I feel like there's a challenge. I feel like there's a challenge coming. Like I just 10 pull-ups with a cigar. I challenge the Dapper Cigar.
Because that reminds me of like I think it was either a Biggie or a DMX music video. The guy's doing pull-ups and in between the traffic signs. But then
I do remember that too, and I can't find that video.
I think it's Biggie.
I think it's DMX though.
Is it DMX?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what started that? Why you all of a sudden started?
Because I'm like, damn, that scaffolding. I hope that fucking motherfucker.
It was Biggie, and I know the guy.
Oh, you do know?
I know Troy.
I think it was Juicy.
Yeah.
I think it was in the Juicy music
Troy
video.
Topo. Yeah.
I gotta look that up now to remind myself of what he was doing. But what basically happens is I'll be walking down the street. I'll discover there's a scaffolding, and I'm smoking normally when I go for my walks. And I go for long walks.
Yeah.
I mean, I did 20,000 steps yesterday.
I saw it on his phone the other day.
20,000.
That's like, I think it's 2,000 miles. 2,000 steps is a mile. So what is that? 10 miles?
It came out to a little under 9 miles.
Shit.
He walks really slow, though.
2.9 miles an hour. Take it easy, all right?
You guys are really good friends. I can pick up on this.
Take it easy, okay? So what happens is, naturally, I'm not going to put the cigar down. So I'm just like, you know what? It's just a quick little 10, 15 reps.
Get the blood
I'll
pumping.
just smoke while I do it.
Yeah, you don't want to put that cigar down in the streets of New York, man.
Nah.
You don't know what the hell.
Now, are people walking by and like, what the hell is this guy doing pull-ups with the cigar?
The other day in Williamsburg, these guys are like, "Oh, that's gangster," and I'm just like, "Yeah, whatever."
You want to try?
No, I always tell people I don't recommend you do it because it does zap some of your oxygen. You know?
Oh yeah,
sure.
Oh yeah.
But like, I remember doing it as a teenager. Like, I'd be smoking like when I used to smoke Nat Sherman MCDs. Like when I didn't have a chance to smoke a cigar, I smoked a cigarette.
Yeah.
And I'm doing bench press in my friend's gym, and I'm smoking while I'm working out. Like, I'm not even thinking about it. I think in Wolf of Wall Street. That, what's the guy's name?
I know the guy you're talking about.
Yeah.
When he goes, tell your sister I was asking about it.
Ma, what's for dinner?
Let her watch.
Yeah.
Let her watch.
Yeah. So John Bertle.
Yes.
I think he was smoking while working out. So it's like,
You know, so
a
the
great
funny
scene.
story about that, you know, in the scene when that guy, when Jonah Hill is talking shit to him, and he's like, you know what? If you're not gonna do it, I got 3 more like you, bro. I get 3 more fucking like you. Take my money with it. And he goes, you can't talk to me like that. And he punches him in the face. You know that scene? He actually punched Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill went to the producers.
He's got a punchable face.
He went to the producers, and he went to, I think who's the director of that? Scorsese. Thank you. He goes to Scorsese, says, what if he actually punched me? And Scorsese looks at the guy, he looks at Leonardo DiCaprio, and he goes, all right, do it. So Jonah Hill went to the guy and says, listen, punch me. Really punch me. And he actually knocked him out.
The Punisher actually punched
He
him.
actually knocked him out.
Exactly.
He goes, we want to make it look real. He goes,
tidbit.
well, real is punch. He goes, knock me out. Hit me. So he fucking actually laid him out.
Hey, man, you got to do what you got to do to get that scene.
That's real acting right there.
All right.
Literally. Steven Seagal's been
It wasn't
known
even
for-
acting. He goes, he didn't have
No,
to.
I've
He didn't
heard
have to
some bad-
fake falling down. He got fucking fucking knocked out.
I've heard some bad stories about Steven Seagal, like hitting like the stunt doubles, like really hitting them.
Yeah.
And it's like messed up. It's
Well,
like,
it happens
dude, what are you
more
doing,
often than
bro?
not. I imagine.
Well, that's like Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise does all his stunts.
All his stunts, man.
All his crazy
when he was
shit.
hanging off the plane. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
60 years old.
come
You know, when
on.
he jumped
That's
across the
fucking
building,
nuts.
he broke his ankle in one of the recent Mission Impossibles. When he's doing that run scene, he jumps
He's a
across.
psycho,
He broke
but he
his
gets it
ankle,
done.
and then there's the camera on the other end, like shooting him. He has to catch the building and then climb up and walk past the camera. And he hit the building, and his ankle hit and he broke it. So he had to climb up, and he hobbled across. He goes, I just have to get past the camera. And then he got past the camera, fell down. They go, what happened? He goes, broke my ankle.
Yeah.
Ooh, Jackie Chan sliding down the building.
Yes. Yeah,
He's
Jackie
got a
Chan's
lot of
another one
shit,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
But
No doubt.
so I want to go back to the
I wanted to ask the Jay-Z thing.
So the Jay-Z thing. So you introduced Jay-Z to
What project did you work with him on, and how did the cigar?
I worked with him. It was funny because I watched a little bit of your program last night, and I found the Nino episode,
Yeah.
and I caught a little piece of where he said that your first CD was Hard Knock Life Volume 2.
1998.
Yeah, and I did a track on that record. So I told him today on the red here, I was like,
Ride or Die. Ride or Die.
Ride or Die.
I looked it up.
I was
I got
like,
it.
dude, you know that CD you had? That was the first CD. Like, my name is inside there. Like,
Oh no! So it is inside
Yeah,
there.
so like-
I have that CD too.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow! No shit.
Because I did this. Stevie J produced
It's,
Ride or Die.
it's this color right here, the
Yeah.
CD.
That's crazy.
Right. It's bluish. Right. You're right. It's,
well, what's crazy is that
That's right. That's the project you worked with him on.
What's crazy is that the
I worked with him on the Firm too.
so
Jay-Z.
did you introduce him to cigars too?
I mean, it was like we were all part of that. Cameron was definite, and Jimmy Jones, who was like, Jim Jones was
Jim
not a
Jones.
rapper.
Yeah.
He was like literally, I could say it. He was like Cam's weed roller, and like sidekick.
Yeah.
So like we got done with the Cameron album, his first album, Confessions of Fire, and I haven't seen those guys. I don't think I've ever seen them since.
What's
That's like a weird thing with I did Horse and Carriage. I did
with Mace.
yeah, and all
shit.
that shit. Shanghai. I'm on Shanghai.
What do you mean you're on?
My voice.
Is it?
Yeah. I
we
don't tell
play-
a lot of people
Can we
this.
play that track?
You can play it if you want. You'll hear a Korean guy screaming, "Get out of my store," and all this kind of stuff. And I was that guy.
Really?
You gotta pull that out. That's sad. That's
So what happened was,
sad.
is like late one night, and it's Cameron and Swizz Beatz did the beat.
What was the name of the track?
Shanghai.
Shanghai. Eric, can you pull it up?
Which probably doesn't make any sense because they were saying you got to be a Korean grocer. First of all, they were like, we need a Korean grocer to do like this part of the like where we're robbing the store, and he's got to be yelling like, "Get out of my store!" Right?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there in the room like, oh man. First of all, it's 2-3 o'clock in the morning. Like, how the hell are we gonna get out of here tonight? And they're like, who are we gonna get to do this? Right? I have another story on an assistant that
Connect to
Why
the Bluetooth. It's
so then you'll recognize my nasal. I was a little bit more nasal back then.
It's right,
And
I got it
Korean.
right here. Hold
You
on.
got
Is
it?
right in the beginning?
Yeah, you'll hear me. Get out my store.
Shut the fuck up, you punk! You fucking faggot, I'm tired of this shit! You feel sorry for who? Nah, let me tell you something. Yo, you had this for a strong time.
Hysterical. I did hear you.
So
That's
I'm yelling through the
hysterical.
whole thing. So they're like, we need
hysterical.
someone to say like, get out of my store, because you're stealing shit. And I was like, I'll do it. And they're like, you'll do it. I was like, yeah.
Yes, let's do it.
So my assistant, I was like, listen, man, hit record. I got to go in the booth and get on the, and do this whole thing. And I get
That
in
must
there
have been pretty fun.
and, we were in tears. Like, and during that session, there were so many hours of laughing with those dudes because that's when the whole pause thing started. The no homo.
Yeah, pause.
Pause.
Really?
Pause.
Still
I
this
didn't
thing
know
to
that.
this day.
Those
Yeah,
guys.
wow.
Those
Yes.
guys.
We've said it on the show
We say it
plenty.
plenty of times.
Listen, those guys would say "no homo" 6 times in a sentence. It was like, and then me and like this other dude, who was like the executive producer. We would fuck with these guys because like, first of all, when you're recording someone, everything sounds a little suspect, as they used to like to say. So I'd be like, yeah, Cam, I'll get you in right there, but it's going to be tight.
No homo. Pause.
No, and they'd be like, "Oh!" They'd run out of the room for like 10 minutes, like, "Wow, he said it. He said that right." Like, and he didn't say no homo. I'm like, "Look, I'm not going to say no homo after everything I say."
That's hysterical.
Because you can take anything. You can take everything you say.
I'm gonna smoke this stick. No homo.
Yeah, no homo.
Yeah, no, smoke a stick? Forget it. But they run out of the room crying, laughing.
Here, suck on that.
Yeah, let me light it for you.
Yeah. Let me put this in your mouth and light it for you. Pause. Because sometimes we make these cigar videos and we say stuff and we're like,
one perfect example. Perfect example.
Oh God,
we did a video where we were talking about how to light a cigar.
Yeah.
And so I was saying, I was doing the video. I said, all right, how do you light a cigar? First, what you have to do is you have to toast the cigar.
Yeah.
So you take the lighter and you have to toast the foot of the cigar, make sure it's all lit, right? And then once the cigar is nice and toasted, you put the cigar in your mouth and then you finish it off. And then so I was like, you put it in your mouth and you finish it off. And I look right at the camera, pause.
Yeah.
And then finish lighting this.
And they would say that's overruled. that was
just
like,
put it in your mouth and finish it off.
That was one of their famous lines. Was like, that's overruled. Like even if you said pause, they were like that didn't even qualify.
You didn't say it quick enough,
bro. Cameron, it makes because he has that sports talk show, and
I heard about that. I haven't seen it yet.
It's so he'd be talking. He talks with his accent. He's like, yes, I'm doing my thing, and and pause, pause, and we're doing this, and he's like, yo, no, no. And he's next to Mace, and Mace is crying. Oh my God, it's so funny. It's so good.
I remember one segment they were talking about Mike Malone, the coach of the Denver Nuggets.
Yes.
So Malone is actually from Astoria. He's from my neighborhood.
No shit.
Is it really?
Yeah. And Cameron goes on this whole thing about, Astoria is like Harlem East. You know what I'm saying? You come over the bridge, it might as well be Harlem. And I'm just like,
Cam said this?
yes.
Okay.
This is brilliant.
That's
Cam
great.
And Mace, yeah.
Killer Cam, Murder Mace.
Yeah, it was like, I remember Cam saying to me one day, he's like, Tony, why did I buy that car? And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, white people travel. We spend more money on cars and jewelry. What the fuck?
So you said,
yeah, and I was like, I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, like,
I don't know. Maybe you should travel some more. I don't know what you want to say.
That's what.
And he was, I'll out him right now, but he had bought an S500 and took the badges off and put 600 badges on it. And he got caught. Like, and he'll admit to it. He was sleeping in that car for a while. He didn't even have an apartment.
That's like the freaking, what's
God.
that?
the come up.
What's
That's
the car?
For sure.
Oh, shit. What's the car?
There's a great video.
Is it the Chrysler 300? Looks like a Phantom.
Yeah,
until you roll up next to a Phantom.
Yeah.
It looks like a Bentley.
Looks like a Phantom until you roll up next
There's
to a
a great
Phantom.
video of Cameron. Like I forgot where he was, but he was getting robbed and he got shot and he drove off in his car and like he gets up on the news like in a sling and he's like he's talking all this shit and I'm like, Cameron's almost like a 50 Cent. Like 50 Cent is undefeated with everything he does. He trolls everybody. Cameron is the same way. I never seen Cameron taken out, but he makes me laugh every time he opens his mouth. Whatever.
He was hilarious.
I can imagine.
Would you say that was like one of your favorite?
Oh yeah, without question. And for one, I was not Tony. I was T Blizzy.
T Blizzy, baby.
Yeah. Blizzy. Blizzy, let me ask you this, Blizzy.
That's awesome.
Team Blizzy, huh?
I'm gonna call you that from the rest
Blizzy.
of the podcast. Yo,
Blizzy, let me ask you a
What's
question.
funny is it's like they're probably all like smoking weed. The guy who doesn't smoke any weed, they're like.
I mean, I was in the room with like clouds like
Contact
this.
high.
You probably got your share of secondhand high, right?
Now,
Blizzy.
complete opposite. I'm assuming.
Before, I want to talk about the Jay-Z correlation that we have.
Yeah.
So we were talking about so hold that thought. But we were talking about how the funny story with Jay-Z is when we first started this show, we had to come up with some music for the intro to the show.
Okay.
And I was like, I want something that's like, he's like, I want something hip hop. And I said, I want something that's a little jazz, right? He goes, I got the perfect fucking song. I know exactly what we're going to do. So he pulled up Jay-Z's Can I Live? That track, right? Yeah. And it was great, right? It started off, I'm like, oh, this is perfect. It's got like a little jazz feel, but it's got that, right? So I was like, oh, this is great. So we used that as the intro. This was before we knew about social media and copyright and stuff. So we used that for the first couple. And we got binged immediately for copyright.
Sure.
Like, crap, we can't fucking use that, right?
Yeah.
So then we used something else, which we continue to use now, and it's it was a free song that we pulled from YouTube, I think, somewhere.
YouTube Music.
And it's fine and it works, right? But now you fast forward, and so that was the first song that we used was the Jay-Z song. And now fast forward, we come out with our first cigar and we name it The Blueprint, having no idea. Say,
yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Having no idea,
crazy coincidence
that like we didn't think, oh, let's pick.
And
Blueprint.
Justin didn't have. I don't think had a clue that Jay-Z had an album called The Blueprint. I knew. I knew.
But we just came up with the name Blueprint.
Oh,
Like, oh, this fits perfectly. This is exactly what we want. There's a story behind why we called it that, but it had no relation to Jay-Z. And then Eric one day goes, that's crazy that the first song we used was Jay-Z's Can I Live? And then now fast forward, the first cigar we named is an album after Jay-Z. And then the color is the blue from
Hard Knock Life.
Hard Knock Life.
Nuts. And Jay-Z's not even my favorite rapper. He's not even
and it's not. It's just.
Who's your
it's
favorite
just
rapper?
Nas.
Okay.
That's what I was going to get. I was going to say I would assume complete opposite personality from Cameron in the studio.
Yeah.
I don't know how you worked with Nas, but what did you work with Nas and how was
I worked on, it was written.
He's got a cigar, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, he does. Escobar cigars.
I did some recording. And I also worked with,
you said the Firm, too. Nas, that was
I did the Firm, but that was Jay-Z, Foxy Brown, and
that was not
AZ.
No, that was Nas. That's Nas.
Was it Nas?
It is Nas.
Nas, Jay.
But Jay-Z was around because he was writing for Foxy, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think that was Foxy. I think Jay-Z was Foxy's artist.
Yes.
Because then in Ether, that's where he.
Foxy was Jay-Z's artist.
Yes.
I worked on a funny story with the Nas thing. I did the album intro. I recorded that, and it was like some shit with like an overseer, like,
and in the beginning, it was written.
I think it was written. Yeah,
if I remember correctly, the intro of it was written.
It's like a skit,
and
it's
like a slave
thing.
So you're doing a lot of skits, man. You're doing
we did the skits.
You're doing the Asian man screaming.
Yeah.
You're doing this.
He's like,
so the funny thing with that one was,
they
were like, we need a voice for the overseer, right? And my assistant was like standing like right there, and like everyone's talking, and all of a sudden we're all looking at him, and he like looked up like, what? And like we're like, yeah, you got to do it.
You got to
because we need a white guy's voice, and you got one. And
the intro.
Yeah, for the intro.
So if I remember,
I don't remember the kid's name.
Do you have it, Eric? You gonna play? Hold on.
I think if this is.
It was like a long.
It's like we're gonna be eating good tonight.
It was the Sam Cooke, been a long time coming thing. Yeah.
It's like a slave type of thing. Yeah,
music. Yeah.
It's like, man, I'm working hard, boy.
Yeah,
this is you,
and the chains and all that stuff. I recorded it for sure. Yeah,
this is
put it together.
Hey, Nas.
Yeah.
This is great. So you recorded this one?
Yeah. The skits were like a big thing back then.
Yeah, this is a big, like in almost all his albums, there's always a skit in the beginning.
There's a lot, now that I think of it, back in the 90s, there's a lot of, intros were
I would get booked for skits.
There's a lot of skits.
They're like, okay, we're doing skits today. I'd be like, oh, man.
What was the guy in Jay-Z's album, Pain in the Ass? Is that his name?
I don't even know.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, man. He would like quote like Carlito's Way.
There was so much shit.
He quoted Scarface.
I mean, I did all the skits for Little Kim's thing.
That's
what's the guy's name?
I think that's from Purple Haze. That was what was his name? Meech, right? Mizzle out. That's what he's. That's what he's saying. The Purple Haze album. There's a few skits with Cameron.
We got Tony Busy and
T Blizzy,
T Blizzy, and Mizzle.
But you had to say it with the Cameron T Blizzy. What's up with T Blizzy?
It's like almost like a Mike Tyson voice.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
So you worked with Nas on It Was Written.
Yeah, and also the Alicia Keys remix, Women's Worth remix. I recorded him on that and mixed that.
Was he a lot more quiet and conserved, humble?
Nas was exactly like he always is.
Yeah,
like that you see him. And, he got that voice. Sounds like an old man even when he was in his 20s.
Sure.
And
but he doesn't age.
No,
he doesn't. No. Because we had Escobar, because he has a cigar company, Escobar Cigars.
Yep. Does he really?
Yeah.
And we had, technically his partner who owns Escobar Cigars. And I was really pushing. I was like, "Yeah, you gotta get Nas on it because you'll make my whole fucking life if you can get him on here." Because that's who I was like. Who my first rapper that I actually listened to and actually appreciated because he's the best storyteller.
Yeah.
And I take a lot of pride in it because I have two younger brothers and they all love Nas and they always be like, "Man, Eric turns on Nas." That was like the first CD we listened to.
Illmatic.
Yeah. And so when I was telling my brother, I was like, "Yeah, I'll be having someone on the podcast who worked with Nas." He's like, you got to ask him this.
You got to get him on. Got to get him on.
I'm like, all right, he's working with a lot of guys. We got to get a couple things in.
I always wanted to say, like, yeah, that's Illmatic, but like it just sounded so dumb to me to say it. You know, like other guys would say it when I was in the room. They'd hear something and be like, "That's Illmatic."
Really?
Like, that sounds so good when you say it. Like, but if I say it, it does not sound right. That's Illmatic. That's dope.
I think Nino could say it.
He could say dope. He could say it's Illmatic. I can't.
I grew up in a different place.
Yeah.
You grew up in Jersey. I grew up in Astoria and Flushing. You know?
And if I said something like, yeah, that's dope, they'd be like,
Lizzie?
So do you guys do like a lot of music stuff together at all? You guys just are just straight friends?
Just a little bit here and there.
Yeah, we
lately.
mess around here and there, you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have you guys ever like produced something of your own?
Got him.
Got him. Oh,
I'm gonna clip that one now.
I walked right into that one.
Pause.
You guys ever do stuff together? Or no.
No homo.
Oh my God, that's overruled and everything.
So have you guys ever like produced any tracks together or no?
No, not at all.
Not for fun. No.
No, we've done some like things where like he's been in my studio. I've shown him some stuff. Now I have him teaching an artist of mine how to DJ.
Oh, nice.
That's a new development.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're working with this girl, and we'll see what happens.
So is this a new venture for Nino Brown?
Possibly teaching people how to DJ now.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
sick.
Because
Mentoring.
I've only done this 19 years, so I figure
Yeah, like you only know a couple things.
I think I might know some things.
I'm like, I know a guy. I'm gonna get you to learn how to DJ. She's like, okay.
Yeah.
So last night was her first.
I think that'd be a great
How'd she do?
venture
How'd
for
she
you.
do?
I mean, we didn't really push. It was more consultation, It wasn't really pushing the envelope. I think I kind of overloaded her a little bit, but I
You
told
just want
her,
to make sure you got it. Like, listen, I want to prep you, let you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, like I told her, like, you got to learn how to do wiring. You got to learn how to like get booed at. You got to learn every aspect of this business. I'm going to teach you.
Like it's gonna suck.
And then I told her and him, I told her today, I was like, listen, if you ever go to a place where you got to do the wiring, that's too janky for my artist. You're getting the hell out of it.
So what is it? What do you guys like about each other that you guys are such good friends? Because as soon as we sat in, you started talking about you ripping on our sweater about having the freaking static and the cotton on there.
I mean, listen, he is Italian as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's just part of the culture.
Sure.
To like people that you care about, you break their chops.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Because if
Absolutely.
you didn't care about him, you didn't break their chops.
true.
So
That's like an ultimate sign of love, right there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you're busting you're busting balls. It's
100%, without a doubt. So I don't know. It just seems like cool guy. Young spirit. And I'm an old soul, so it's like it just works.
and you met over cigars, right?
over cigars.
That's
100%.
Yeah. That's
I mean, I literally, when I told you guys 2 years ago when I came on the scooter, that was his scooter originally.
That's crazy.
And
That's crazy.
I didn't
too,
believe
yeah.
you at first. I thought you
know.
were busting balls, and I saw you scoot away. I'm like, holy shit, he was for real.
Took
Yeah.
the train, right?
yeah,
And I thought it was funny when we had Big Joe on here, and you came in and surprised him.
I
He's
got
like,
him good.
He said, "What did you come on your scooter?" And I was
Yeah,
like,
right away.
"What
yeah.
the fuck?
What's with this
I'm
scooter?
like,
His name should be DJ Scooter, man.
DJ Scoot. That's hysterical.
Yeah,
so
man. So Black had the black scooter first, and then
T Blizzy.
the Brown took over the scooter, and
That's
it.
funny.
You
it.
should have painted it, man.
That's
Should have
funny.
painted it.
Nah, you gotta keep
painted it
And
brown.
what kind of
man.
scooter is this? What kind of?
It's a Vespa,
Vespa.
2007 GTS 250.
Damn.
Well, it's actually it's funny when you had mentioned that my buddy, he doesn't live in Astoria now, but he was living in Astoria and he would work in the city in the restaurant industry, and he had a scooter. He's like, it's the best thing ever invented. He goes, because I just hop on a train with the scooter, I get off the train, I just zip down, and he goes, at night if I don't even want to take the train, I can scooter over the bridge and be home in like 15 minutes.
Yep.
Now he lives up in Westchester, so he takes
That's
it.
not happening now.
No,
But I've taken the scooter up there. I've taken it to Yonkers
can?
and
Yeah.
White Plains.
He
I've
lives
done some
in,
crazy drives.
He lives in Ossining now, so I don't know how far that is.
No,
That's a
you're
sick
not.
drive.
You're not going on a scooter.
No,
to Austin.
no,
No
that's all
way.
right.
There'd
But
be
he
something
lived
wrong
like
with
he was in Astoria, right? You take the subway and you're in. And
Well, 15 minutes on the
Yeah.
end, so you're in Midtown before you know it.
But it's funny when you said school. I'm like, man, it is a big thing,
Yeah.
and it's a great way to get around.
But that one, at least, it does 70. That's
Yeah,
not
like,
a.
you could
It's
go on
not
the
a
highway.
little,
yeah, no,
it's not
my-
a little scooter.
my buddy actually, he was coming home late one night, and he got into an accident on it
Yeah.
and was hospitalized.
Oh,
He had to
sure.
go into he got like surgery on it. He actually like ruptured his I think he ruptured his bladder, and but I'm like, it's a scooter. He goes, no, these things go 50, 60. He's like, I was doing like 45, 50,
Oh, yeah.
and I was going down, and there was another guy on a bike or something, and we wound up hitting, and I just got launched, and He was in pain, man.
You
but
really got to be careful. You can't underestimate,
They're fast.
Yeah.
Some of these electric bikes now, you go in Manhattan, and it's like you got to look both ways now because it's like not only are you looking for cars and pedestrians, you got to look for an electric scooter that does 40.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And they zoom by. Man. There's no hesitation.
You know what is a shit ton of those little fuckers? Is in Taiwan.
Yeah.
I went to Taiwan 8 years ago, whatever, for work, and it was I couldn't believe
my cousin got robbed from off of one. She was on the street with her pocketbook guy and came on, zing, just took it right off her shoulder.
Dude, and it's like, and it's crazy because you see, because where I was staying, I would walk a few blocks to get to the office, and I get out of my hotel, and you see the walk sign, so you walk across the street, right? And as soon as it says stop and the light turns green, all of a sudden you're it's like a bunch of mosquitoes. They're just everywhere, and they don't give a shit if it's sidewalk, if it's road. They don't care. They are everywhere.
Well, you know what Vespa means in Italian? It means bumblebee.
Does it really?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it means bee.
Really?
Yeah, that's why the back has like a roundish shape.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
No, I didn't know that either.
Fucking
wild. My father grew up with them in Sicily before he even had a car.
They're everywhere.
Before he even had a car, he was riding around.
We were in Amalfi Coast and it was like that.
What are you looking for?
Oh, you want a blue one?
Yeah, he wants a blue one.
Give the man a blueprint.
Oh, boy.
Let's go, baby.
This guy's really shaking down the joint over here.
Hey, you'll leave with some. So
Trying to get my money's worth out of this.
Yeah, there you go. Of course.
No homo.
We bless. No homo. Pause.
Yeah. So yeah, we connected at the cigar shop, just like you guys have talked about. Like I can't even ex-girlfriends of mine have always been like, what do you mean you know this person or that person from the cigar shop? Like every little thing, any problem you need to get fixed, there's someone from the cigar shop that you know that can be like, I know somebody. And they'll be like, what do you mean you know somebody? I know somebody.
Keep Lizzie. Here we go. Ready? Watch this.
I like this.
Wow.
Got to clean up shop here.
No mess for you.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That's what's beautiful about it, is there's anybody and everybody in a cigar lounge.
Absolutely.
I mean, we had a concrete guy, a tire guy, an accountant, a lawyer, a cop,
emergency management guy,
surgery, plastic surgery.
It's crazy.
Hedge fund manager, whatever.
Like the people that we've had on the show is just we've been talking about before is ex-military, right? We have Navy SEALs and armed forces on the show. We've had mobsters on the show. We've had FDNY and police officers. We've had athletes. We've had singers. We've had business moguls.
Matter of fact, last night, Ed Reed was at the cigar lounge.
Yeah, we've had him on the show.
In the city?
In Brooklyn.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he came on, that was wild, too, because he was sitting in his mother's garage. And he's a DJ, too, kind of. He what he was doing is these live streams where he would just pull and he would just DJ and listen to music.
Ed Reed?
Yeah, he would do these live.
He would do these live streams. He'd pull up his computer and he would have his little, I don't know what it was, maybe a little mixer or something, and he would just play his own music, and he would kind of dabble a little bit, smoking cigars, and people would join. And he was in his mother's garage. And we got a friend of a friend hooked us up, and
wow. If I would have known that, I would have said something. Wow, that's
cool.
I
mean, I don't know if I don't know if he performs, like if he does gigs and stuff, but he does it as a hobby, as a fun little thing. And when he got on, he goes, "Man," he goes, "Justin, Eric, I love your show. I love you guys." Blah blah. Blah. And we're sitting here. I said, "Dude, he goes, I'm a big fan of you guys. This, that, and the next." And I'm sitting there. It was so surreal because I go, "You're a fan of us?" And I grew up watching you.
Right.
You're the best safety to ever play the game, and you're a fan of us. Like this is. And I'm like, "Where are you?" He goes, "I'm in my mother's garage. We're just hanging
Louisiana.
out." Yeah,
In Louisiana.
Wow.
Yeah,
such a cool guy.
I just saw you. You were with Marlon Wayans.
Marlon Wayans, yeah.
What was that about?
We did. So he started a cigar company with two of his buddies he grew up with. It's called Liga Trident.
Okay.
And I work with a lot of companies. I do a lot of events and stuff. So they approached me about working with Marlon, and we did a job over in High End Cigars in Scotch Plains, New Jersey. Shout out to them. They're a great lounge. I just did a birthday party over there this past weekend. Great turnout. So Marlon was there. He came by. I didn't realize how big Marlon was.
Tall dude.
He's like 6'5".
Damn.
And I'm like, you watch him in movies. It's like, okay, he's a big guy. But you stand next to him, you're like, oh my God, he's like a giant. But he was such a sweetheart of a guy, like just down to earth and really cool. And he was explaining to me like the company and the blend and stuff. It's like ultra premium. It's a really good stick, man. So definitely look out for that. Liga Trident. Really nice, man. I met him at Harlem Cigar Room, which is another place you can meet some people.
They're always doing something.
I gotta try to get Marlon Wayans on here then.
That's gonna be tough. I mean, I'll see what I can do. But.
What's the story with these blends? I've had them both now.
So the first one that came out is the Blueprint. That's the one you're smoking right now.
Okay.
That came out a couple of years ago. The blend in that one is so both are made in Dominican Republic.
Okay.
That's where they're rolled. But the blend in this one has 6 different countries in it. So we source tobacco from 6 different countries. The wrapper is a Mexican San Andreas wrapper. The binder is Ecuadorian Sumatra. And the filler is Dominican, Honduran, Nicaraguan, and American.
Damn.
So there's 6 different countries in here. More of the medium, full-bodied. You're going to have more leather, more dark chocolate, more espresso.
I get that already, yeah.
Right? Then we came out with the Diligent because, obviously you can't just have one cigar, right? We have to have multiple. We have plans for a third one and different sizes and stuff. But
where did the Diligent name come from?
so the Blueprint
Great
came
question.
from so our original Instagrams, I'm the Dapper Cigar with a D. He's Brother Cigar with a B.
Which I followed you and messaged you, by the way.
And
I was like, hey, man, can't wait for you to... It was just like I was feeding my door like 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, let me look up Tony. I'm like, oh, he's on Instagram. I was like, hey, man, can't wait to see you tomorrow.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
So we had so when we came out with the show, we said, all right, well, let's see if we can think of something. So we came out with the Burn Down, BD, Burn Down, Brother Dapper, right? So let's see if we can follow the same nomenclature. So we came out with something for the
what?
B nomenclature.
What the heck? That's a $5 word. I've never.
Like the Webster's
how
dictionary.
you name stuff. Right?
I didn't know. I had no idea.
So we said, all right, well, we're big into positive mental attitude and visualization and believing in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't create something, whatever it is you want your brain, if you don't truly believe that you're going to achieve it, you're never going to actually achieve it.
Sure.
So we said, all right, well, how can we kind of follow that? And we said, okay, well, the Blueprint is kind of like it's a mental blueprint that everybody has of who they are, what they want to be, and how they're going to achieve it. And anything that's ever been done in this life, in anybody's life, started between the ears.
Sure.
It started as some sort of mental blueprint,
yeah.
and then on the road to achieving the mental blueprint, that whatever it is, it's only the diligent ones that actually achieve whatever it is, right?
I
So
agree.
that's how we came out with the Diligent. But this was the medium to full-bodied one, and then we said, all right, let's go with a mild one, and that one's got 3 different countries in it. So it's an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper, an Ecuadorian binder, and then it's Dominican and American fillers.
American. Oh, like,
So
from where?
So both of them have American, and they're both from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And so that one's more mild, so that's going to be a little bit more cream, a little bit lighter, a little bit floral. You might get some dry wood in that one. This one's a little bit more spicy, a little bit more pepper, leather.
No doubt. I'm glad I went.
That's
from
the way
that
to go.
that.
Yeah.
yeah, that's what you. I mean, that's usually what we always recommend.
See, I do the opposite. I start off, I come in hot, and then I mellow out.
And then you mellow it, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the
You
idea.
go
Now
against
the
the grain,
third one, we are. I mean, this came out about 3 months ago, and hopefully next year we'll release the next one. It'll start with the letter P because we have Burn Down Podcast, so
Okay.
BDP. We don't know what the name's going to be. We don't know the blend. It's going to be the same size, and it's going to start with the letter P.
We just know it's going to be a P.
We just know it's going to be a
Are
P.
you guys on like an audio podcast thing somewhere besides
Yes.
the YouTube podcast?
Everything.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Spotify, Amazon, Apple.
Okay.
Yeah, we have. I don't know if you're familiar with podcasting, but they have what's called an RSS feed.
Yeah, from back in the day.
So you basically upload to that, and
Yeah.
then it's linked to all the other platforms, and it uploads to everything.
Yeah, iHeart. all
that's
that
the
stuff.
second.
Yeah, friends of mine that have podcasts, they're more into their podcasts than their YouTube end of things, even though they have the video side of it.
Yeah.
Because I've been on a couple of where the video YouTube thing is like a smaller version, and then they're like, yeah, but our podcast gets X amount of listens compared to the YouTube thing.
Yeah, so the thing with YouTube is it doesn't really like what's called ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
True, yeah.
Does not like that.
Yeah.
So with YouTube, we get flagged a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with the podcast on Spotify, they don't care. All the other ones, they don't care.
I got a copyright warning the other night for the first time ever because I did a live stream
Sick.
and my guys have decided to call it. It's kind of because I started it, sort of. We're calling it the Layer Cake Gang because it's based on that movie, The Layer Cake, right? And there's cigars in that movie. But so for my last podcast, I played a literally a 40-second clip of the movie where there was like this one speech at the end,
And they bing you.
and they were like,
Yep.
you can't be monetized now because of this fucking stupid minute and a half.
That's why we were playing those songs. We only play like 8-9 seconds. Once you get past 10, they flag you. So that's why you saw me as soon as I just turned the music
Crazy.
down. They flag you for anything.
Everything.
It's
And then, like, sometimes you'll put it up, and not until like a year, 2-3 years later, they'll be like, "Oh, by the way, this is being flagged for copyright."
Yeah.
No kidding.
It's been around for 3 years. Now you're just recognizing it.
Right.
which is why we've actually switched over. I don't want to say completely switched over because we're still on YouTube and stuff,
Yeah.
and Instagram. But we've kind of also included X now because X is completely deregulated.
Oh, really?
I don't want to say completely because you obviously can't post like murder and felonies and illegal things, right?
What is
You're
this?
not going to do that, are you?
Okay. Which totally understandable. But on Instagram, like it kind of annoyed us because we would post a video. I wouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be in the caption saying go smoke. I would just be a video of me smoking a cigar with some nice music, and I thought the video would be cool. And Instagram's like, you can't post that. You're smoking cigars. You're pushing tobacco. Can't post that. Meanwhile, you got some like 18-year-old girl in a thong shaking her ass to
I've seen that.
Megan the Stallion, right?
Me and
And
you
I'm
both.
like, and I go,
Nothing wrong
I go,
with that.
but that's totally fine,
Yeah,
right? That's a
Instagram.
great role model for our little children, but I can't smoke a cigar.
Well, think about it. The guys on Instagram, they go, girl shaking ass, or guy smoking cigar. Nah.
That's a weird.
Fuck those guys smoking
So
cigars.
now
Weird
that
area.
now that Elon has bought X, formerly known as Twitter, you can post whatever you want. So we've gotten over to X, and I think that if you were to pay for it, you can post full length videos. So we might be going over to that and putting all the stuff because like Joe Rogan's on there. And
Tucker Carlson.
you can post whatever you want, and it's fantastic. So like I posted something, and one of my most viral, and I'm on it. I've only been on it for a few weeks now, and one of the most viral pieces of content was literally me saying top 7 reasons to smoke cigars. Bah, 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 bah.
Beautiful.
And it was all about this is why you should smoke cigars, and it went viral.
Because Instagram will not show you they'll show you to your followers, but no one else. Because we had a guest on here last week, and he was like, "Oh, I want your Instagram." So I'm like, "All right." So usually I put my name's Brother Cigar on Instagram. Usually I start typing a couple letters in, I pop right up. I had to type my whole name in to come up. And I said, "Justin, that's never happened before." So I checked, and it said, "Oh, you're able to monetize, you're able to do this, you're able to do this, but you're not being shown to anyone outside your circle because of this video, and this video, and it's all smoking cigars." So it's a crazy world. But for the most part on YouTube with just the regular podcasts, they're okay. Like these things are okay. It's just when we actually do like, here's how to cut a cigar, or these are why cigars are great, and then that's when things get a little hairy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm part of a new podcast where these guys. Their thing is cigars and whiskey, and I think that's been a problem in that like there's too much of that content.
Yeah.
They're just trying to do it on YouTube and Instagram, and it's like it could be trouble. So I think
And
they're
what's
pivoting.
interesting too is on YouTube there is a setting for when you post a piece of content. It asks, "Is this content for kids?"
Yes.
And we obviously
say no.
every time we say no, this
Even
is
I
adults.
say no on
Yeah.
mine. Yeah.
Like this, no, it's not for kids. This is for adults. I said, so if you have that setting in there, why are you even flagging us? So like, you can't push this content. We know it's for adults. We say it's for adults, and you still flag us.
Right.
It's a little frustrating. But X doesn't have that problem. So
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. That's an
so
interesting
go
thought.
on
So
to
for
X.
the last 5.5 years, we've been plugging away, trying to figure it the frick out.
It's impossible to figure out. I've found is that like there is no figuring it out. Things just happen, and or they don't. And
Either you do it or you just give up.
I'm sure you guys have been down the road where you're like, that was a great episode, and you're like, crickets, and then you're like, I don't know if I really did it too well, and then you see
Start
the next day, you're
questioning,
like,
like, what
it
you
happens.
This
it
one
happens
blew up.
so much
All the
when
time.
when you
Yeah.
put
All the
out,
time.
because we were doing a lot of reels, and we started doing some of these funny reels where it would be some audio of somebody saying something, and we're like, oh, how can we incorporate that into the cigar world? And one of the reels was the audio was a guy asking his wife, "Are you doing okay today?" And the wife was goes back and she's like, "I'm gonna beat the shit out of you." He goes, "All right, whatever." And I took that audio and said, when you tell your wife you're gonna smoke a cigar, and it's been 5 hours, and she comes in, Eric filmed, and I was like, "You doing okay today?" And the sound goes, "I'm gonna beat the shit out of you." I was like, "All right, right." And it went absolutely viral. Okay. And then there's other reels where You put, and that one took
Nothing.
10 seconds to make. Then there's other reels where you put all this effort. You go, oh, this is going to be great. I have all the editing. It takes like an hour. You post it. Crickets.
Yes.
When Instagram first came out with Reels, I mean, we had a handful of videos that got millions of views.
Okay.
Just us doing stupid shit. And we're like, we're making it out. We're fucking making it to
That's
the top. Hundreds of thousands, millions of views. And then after like 6, 7, 8, 9 months, a year, we're starting like, all right, we're barely hitting like 5,000. We're barely getting 10,000.
Yeah, they caught on and they flagged it.
And it's
Yeah. I love that video when you guys do the
that's a classic one.
but your face, I mean, what
even
was that?
even then, like I reposted it because you can always repost content because that's just the way it is. But like, it'll get like 400 or 500 shares, and that's a lot. And you'll get like 6,000, 7,000 views on them. Yeah, that's still a lot, right? In the grand scheme of things of social media, that's still a lot. But I feel like if you're getting 400, 500, 600 shares when people are actually like watch this video, that should equate to a lot more. But can't beat the algorithm, unfortunately.
Like you had said, you're never gonna. We always talk about. We're like, I can't figure this out. It's driving me nuts. We gotta. And we kind of just come to the conclusion, like you had said, you're not gonna figure it out. You're never gonna know. Just keep posting and keep chugging along, and it'll happen.
You got to do what you like.
Yeah.
And if it connects, it connects, and then you just kind of move on. But it can hurt your feelings.
It can.
Well, we had a lot of work into that one.
One of our good friends, his name is Tony Peck on Instagram, and he talks about where when you post a piece of content and it gets, like we had said, 1,000 views, and we're like, damn, man, I wish it would have gotten I feel like it should have gotten way more. He says, would you feel comfortable talking to a room full of 1,000 people?
I've just talked to you about that.
He's like, that's 1,000. Like, if you had 1,000 likes and comparing it to somebody else who's got 1 million, he goes, you still got 1,000 people that interacted with that piece of content. Yep. He goes, that could be that's 1,000 potential customers.
Let's see if those numbers are even real.
You
don't even know.
You don't know.
And I mean, like I said, I've been at 22,000. I was just saying before, I've been at 22,600 followers for years.
Really?
For years. Goes up. It just stays at that. Now I'm at 22.4. I've actually lost followers, but you look at the insights, and it's 10 followers, 20 unfollows, 5 follows, 6 unfollows, and it's like,
well, it could be also fake profiles.
Well, that's what I had told him. I said it could be bots,
but it's for years.
Yeah,
years
I haven't noticed like exponential growth. I mean, I've seen a little bit of a tick up, but it's never to the level that it should be.
Where you grow is when we make clips of this, and I collab with you on Instagram, and I collab with you on Instagram.
Of course,
and your followers will see us, and our followers will see you, and then that's how people say, "Oh, let me follow this guy." That's,
inviting collaborator.
And it's great too because
that's the big thing.
We had, like we mentioned before, is there's so many different walks of life in the cigar industry, so we're not limited to who we can bring on. We can bring on anybody. Doesn't matter. Anybody and everybody. If you smoke cigars, bring them on. And what's cool is that we'll make a video of all of us. We'll post it. All of our followers will see that, and a lot of them, or a good portion, whatever the portion is that enjoys hip hop and producing and DJing, they'll see you and be like, oh shit, that's sick. They smoke cigars. I follow Burn Down, and so they'll go follow you, and then you might have some of your friends like Cameron and stuff that watch you, that see you, and they go, oh, that's a cigar show. Oh, I'm gonna follow them. So the fact that we're not limited to whoever we can bring on is really cool because you can reach all these different people.
For sure,
for sure. But I wanted to ask you to kind of go back to your career and stuff. Was there any memories or moments throughout your career in the studio that were just like the wildest shit that you've ever seen? Like, what's one of the craziest stories that you can think of in the studio?
I've told this story before, but it's a new audience.
It's a new audience. Yeah.
So I was working on the Michael Jackson session crew came back in '95 to the Hit Factory. Came back to New York because Michael was going to do a comeback special for HBO at the Beacon Theater.
And when was this?
95. And so the whole crew came back. It was like 15 people, all the same crew that I was with for like 11, 12 months working on the History album. And we're working on getting this concert ready because he was like rehearsing, and we were like in the studio putting together audio for the concert. It was like a weird scenario of that thing. But I'm at the studio in the afternoon one day, and the studio owner, the son of the studio owner, who's like the manager, calls me up on one of the phones, and he's like, He's a real hyper New York dude. He was like, "Hey Tony, what are you doing right now?" I was like, "Well, I'm not, I'm not on the Michael thing." He's like, "Can you get away from the session for a little bit?" I was like, "Yeah, I could probably I could sneak away. There's enough dudes here like doing all the work." He goes, "You know how to program drum machines, right?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Go downstairs to the rental company." They had a rental company for all this gear that they would rent to the sessions. He goes, "Get a drum machine you're comfortable with and go up to Studio 1 and see Michael. He's up there waiting." This was like an assistant engineer guy. I was like, "All right." I go down to the basement. I see this woman that I know that works down there. I was like, "I need a drum machine." I'm like, "I know this one. Let me take that." Simple drum machine. It had sounds already in it, so I knew I didn't have to deal with getting sounds. I had no idea what it was for. So I get on the elevator. It stops at the first floor because I was kind of from the basement. Big elevator. Door opens up. Here comes Billy Joel onto the elevator. And Billy's standing next to me, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" I was like, "I don't know. Yeah, what's up? How are you doing?" And we start riding up the elevator, and I'm like, and I knew I was going to the 6th floor. I was like,
It's not We Are the World. Not that.
So I'm going like, am I going up to the 6th floor with Billy Joel? Ooh, it's pretty interesting. And the kid that was bringing me up there is giving me the look like, I said, "Wow, this is pretty interesting." Okay. Get to the 6th floor. Door opens up. He goes, "We're going into the big room." And it's like a big gymnasium style room where they would record orchestras. And the door opens up, and there's 2 pianos at the end of the room. And Elton John is sitting at one of them. and they're putting a chair between the 2 pianos. And I said, "Am I programming drums for Billy Joel and Elton John right now?" And everyone's scurrying, getting everything set up. So now Elton and Billy are saying hello and hugging. They were on tour together for the big Elton John, Billy Joel concert tour that they were doing. Shit. And they're like, "We're working on a new song that Bernie wrote." Bernie Taupin, who wrote "Candle in the Wind" and all the lyrics and all that stuff. And so now they set me up in a chair. I'm like Forrest Gump. Like Elton is right there, and Billy Joel is like right here. I can almost touch him. And I'm sitting there like, this is crazy, right? Like, so now I got the drum machine with the headphones, and they're playing the piano back and forth. They're going over this song that they're working on. It's called "Meet Me in the Middle of the Red, White, and Blue." And I'm like, I'm fucking like, holy shit. Like, what am I going to fucking program for this? And they're playing, and I'm like, I'll get the tempo. I'll put in a straight beat. Boom, ch, boom, boom, ch. And about an hour goes into this, and they just literally, Billy turns to me, and he's like, "All right, so let's try it with the drums. You got something?" And I was like,
what?
Yeah. I hit the button, and it's like, boom, boom, and they're like, "Okay, let's put it down." So I hit the button again. They start. They play the song down. They both were singing back and forth. We got done. They're like, "Let's go in the room and let's go in the control room and hear it." So we head into the room. We listen to it over the big speakers. They're like, "That's pretty cool. We like it. All right, see you later." And they just both like left. Like,
just like that.
Easy
as
like,
that.
"Thank you. See you later." I was like, "Did that just happen?"
What the fuck just happened?
I called up my ex at the time. I was like, "I just programmed drums for Billy Joel and Elton John when I left the Michael Jackson session." She's like, "What are you talking
That's
about?"
like the trifecta.
You know what I mean? I was like, "I'm going back downstairs to work. See you later." You know what I mean? I went downstairs, and the guys downstairs were like, "What were you doing up there?" I was like,
"Don't worry about it."
I was like, I can't even describe it to you. Like it was like a pinch me moment.
That's like euphoric type of
And
walk.
it never came out. It just sort of like went into
Really?
the ether or whatever. I don't know, whatever they did with the song. And
You don't have the song at all?
no, it was just gone. Like that was a common thing in the studio. Is like you would meet someone for the first time at like 11 in the morning, get to know each other really. Like, "Hey, what's up? How you doing? What are you trying to do today? We're doing vocals. We're working on this track here, whatever." You record them. You go till like midnight, and never see them again.
Damn.
And be like,
Wow.
I was like,
High and by.
I thought we were tight.
So
I thought we were best friends.
You left Michael Jackson
Yeah.
to go up to a studio that you had no idea
That was surreal.
who you
Yeah,
were going
no
to,
doubt.
and it just happened to be Billy Joel and Elton John.
Yeah.
No doubt.
And then they said, "All right, cool, see you later," and then you go back to Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
That's a day. That's
Another
a
quick
day.
wacky one that I did was I was working with Q-Tip on Vibrant Thing. a recorded vibrant thing, and I'm mixing it. He was like, yeah, give me a mix of this thing, He goes, I'll be back. I'm going out for dinner. I said, all right. So this is 98. Early 98.
Q-Tip is Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah, so Q-Tip leaves, and a couple hours later, he comes back, and he's got this, like, young white guy with him, right? We're like, let me hear the track, Tone. You got it all ready? I was like, yeah. He's like, and he goes to the dude. He's like, check this out. This is my new, I'm working on this new thing. And I'm like, I look, and I'm like, that's fucking Leonardo DiCaprio. Right? And I'm like, he's like, yeah, Leo, what do you think of the track? And Leo's like, oh, this is so cool. You know what I mean? And he had just done Titanic.
No shit.
Yeah, like,
Prime Leo.
So he was like the biggest star in the world at that point. And I was like, this is the fucking guy from Titanic sitting here, right? I got home that night again to my ex. I was like, hey, came by the studio today? She's like, no. I said last night. She's like, who? I was like, that guy Leonardo DiCaprio from the Titanic movie. She's like, what are you talking about? Like that was like the biggest thing. Like music was like one thing, but like
Holy
Leo,
shit. He was
at
a heartbreaker.
27.
Yeah, prime.
And
His birthday was yesterday.
Same thing.
Shit.
Same thing was like one of those things where like I never saw Leo again. I did, but it was like
that's crazy.
You're just waiting for like Tip to be, hey, Leo, get on the mic.
it was just like
Leo dropped something. You're like, I didn't know he could sing.
It's like this is Leonardo DiCaprio, I guess. Like
Just to listen.
Yeah,
just to listen.
Well,
Just
used
to hang
he
out.
used to go by OK Cigars. Ryan used to see him all the time.
Leo.
And he went to high school with Q-Tip. So that's
Yeah.
how I make the
Jeez,
connection right
man.
there. So
Oh, really? Leonardo DiCaprio and Q-Tip went to high school together.
No.
Ryan and
My boy Ryan
Tip.
used to work at OK Cigars in Soho.
Gotcha.
So Leo used to come all the time. A lot of people used to come because it was Soho area, it was all
Yeah.
celebrities over there.
Sure.
But he actually went to high school with Q-Tip.
No
now
shit.
Tip's a DJ.
He is a DJ.
What is it? Like I always remember this very vividly.
Shout out to my boy Ryan.
Shout out to Ryan from
For
OK
sure.
Cigars.
One of the cooler guys.
But like you have the like you're in the studio and you have the stuff with all the knobs, right? That you
Sure.
push up. I remember in the music video Running with Biggie and Tupac, there's a scene where the knobs are like kind of like a wave.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
automatic.
they're automated.
What
yeah.
is what
They're
is it?
motorized. So like whatever you do, the computer will remember what you did. They're touch sensitive to the like basically the resistance in your body. You can't do it with gloves. It's got to be like mechanical resistance to your electrons that are in you.
Really?
Right? So whatever you do, it'll memorize, and then when you hit playback, it looks like it's magically moving all
Yeah.
around by it. They might have done a thing where they overdid it to make it look really cool when they like played it back, because you can just like put in crazy moves and like
It looked like a wave. It was like
yeah, sure, yeah, that's the
that's for the
calibration.
effects.
That's
But
the
essentially, that's what
calibration.
it does. It can do that.
Yeah,
Wow, that's amazing.
That's cool.
Now,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Now they don't. Now it's all computerized.
Now it's all
but
computerized.
yeah.
Where are we at right now?
Now you just plug into a program and it's
Yeah.
on the screen on a
For sure.
They call it GUI, graphical user interface. It's all
GUI, yeah, that's right.
it's all on the screen now.
The
but
GUI.
it's
Where
crazy.
we at, Jay?
We're at 2 hours, dude.
Holy shit!
That I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I'm really not.
I can't. You saw me look. I keep looking around to make sure everything's still recording.
I've been doing 4-hour live streams on Friday nights
Yeah.
by myself.
It goes. Dude, it goes
by fast.
It's
man.
pretty nuts. And like to what you guys were talking about, I said to to Nino the other day, I was like, I have like through the 4 hours, I have 450 people come through, but an average of about 80 always in the room. And I said, if I was to say like I'm going to go down the street to a room where there's 80 people in it, it would be like
It's a shit ton
I
of
got to
people.
talk to you guys for like
Yeah.
4 hours.
Yeah.
But like on a talking to a webcam, it's like
There's
hey,
that
what's up?
barrier of like, you don't have to feel so awkward.
You're
about-
reacting to the stream, to
Yeah.
the
It's
chat.
like,
Yeah.
it's like being
Yeah.
at a
Wow.
comedy club. It's the same concept.
Yeah.
I worked at the Comedy Cellar a couple months ago with my boy Eric Newman. He does a lot of great things. It's like it's the same concept. You're in a room with 80 people and you got to entertain them.
That's
Yeah.
crazy stuff.
It's hard.
Yeah. When you think
Try
of
and
it
get a
like-
reaction.
When you think of it like that,
100%.
Especially as a stand-up.
Yeah.
Because that's like all
It's
vocal.
all vibes in that room.
Yeah.
It's all
you can,
vibes.
You
in
can
that
die.
You can die quick or you can rebound.
Yep.
Room. Damn.
Yeah. It's,
True.
That's-
hour.
I mean, that's the beautiful thing is, we say it all the time on the show is we've done episodes like this, 2 hours. It doesn't feel like 2 hours at all. It feels like we've been here for 20 minutes and we've just been talking, sharing stories, learning about each other, smoking cigars. Next thing you know, 2 hours later, I'm like, holy shit, we've been recording for 2 hours.
And then your editor has to do all that work.
Yep,
thank God.
That's why we got.
Then I gotta upload to Dropbox for fucking 3 days. It's gonna fail. My internet's gonna go out. I have to redo it. It's gonna take another 3 days. It's
because it's 2 or 3 cameras and audio.
Yeah,
There's
I mean,
a lot of data.
The audio's not that bad.
a 2-hour podcast is gonna be like 60 gigs.
Wow.
It's gonna be like 60 gigs per. So 120, 150
well,
altogether.
what the thing is too is we could record in a lower quality, and for the full angle, you may not notice it.
Sure.
Right? You could record in 720 or 1080, and you may not notice it. But we record in the highest resolution.
You do 4K?
I don't know if we do 4K.
Or 1080.
It's
right?
1080.
I think it's 1080. Is it?
Okay.
Is it still
It's
1080?
1080. So it's 1080 in this, and then when we do clips, they cut it, or the editor cuts it so it's zoomed in, so it's a little distorted. But now there's apps like CapCut, and now you can, when you upload it, you can do like HD, and it'll enhance the quality of the video. Which
but
is
the reason
it's a good thing you put the makeup on,
Oh, thanks, appreciate it.
But I mean,
I got all dialed up for you.
the reason you got to record in high quality is because
no homo.
when you clip it, like if you were to record in 720 and then when you zoom in and clip it, it's way too grainy. So you have to record in a higher quality so that when you zoom in, you at least get some resolution quality there, and then you can.
It's all psychological. The audio is psychological. The video quality is psychological. People watch it because. You guys know when you watch a video and it's like lower quality, you're like, what the fuck am I watching? Why am I watching?
But audio is the most important.
100%.
Yes, and the audio is actually the audio does not take up a whole lot of space.
Yeah.
I mean, an audio file like this.
Because even if we lose this video, we still have the audio, which is the important part.
And I clean it up a little bit. I do 3 things in this. I'm actually recording in Audacity.
Okay.
I think it's great.
Sure.
For what we're doing, it's great. I do a noise suppression, right? I clip the noise and I remove it. I do a compressor and then I amplify it to get it back up to.
Right.
So
you get all the pops out.
You want to cut out the fan sound.
Yeah, so the fan. That's why I'm not even worried about it. You might hear it a little bit when we're quiet, but that's white noise that I can remove no problem. So I get everything out so that when it's dead silent, it's silent.
Justin became an audio engineer one episode because we interviewed John Starks at his cigar lounge in Stanford once.
Oh, wow.
And this is when we were still newer. We had like 50 episodes out. So, watching John Starks in the court, we thought he would be a loud, big personality, a lot of bass in his voice, loud like this. But he's very quiet and laid back. And the microphone was like here. So he's talking, but it's not really picking it up. So the whole time, I'm like, man, this is sick, John Starks. So Justin's editing, he's like, bro, you can barely hear him. And I'm like, bro, we had him for like 2 hours. What do you mean? He's like, I don't know if we're going to be able to do this. And I was like, dude, you got to take all day, all night, call it sick from work, and just figure it out. And
just call me up.
I know.
Yeah, well, now we know somebody. Now we know a guy.
That's when I learned about compression, right? Because I was trying to amplify it, but I was amplifying all of our voice.
Yeah.
I'm like, we don't want to amplify ours. We just want to amplify his. So that's when I learned about compression, where you can, know what it is. But for people that don't, compression is basically taking you pick like a level, and everything that's above that level, it brings it down. Everything that's below that level, it brings it up, and it compresses the audio.
Yeah.
So I do that with everything now to bring all the levels back, and then I take the whole track and I bring it back to 0 dB. So
I want to kiss Justin on the lips, no homo pause when he figured it out. I'm like, bro, you fucking saved this episode. This is a miracle.
There's no pause alive that would save you from that one right there.
Overruled.
Yeah, that's done. That's
now, granted, like you don't get because his voice was all the way back here.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get some of the richness, but you still it was still audible. You could still listen to the episode, and it didn't sound weird. It sounded fine. But yeah, we made it work. So
awesome.
We did it.
Well, I appreciate having me on.
Yeah, man.
No,
thank you,
Nino, for inviting me down and all that.
Nino, thank you for coming back on. Thank you for inviting Tony.
And escorting me here, man. Getting me here, like the package. I mean, I was like sitting in the car. He made me sit in the back seat in the corner,
like an Uber.
I used to do chauffeuring back in the day,
DJ Nino, the chauffeur.
He's like, don't talk the entire time because we got to save everything for when we get there. So we didn't talk.
Well, I mean, at the end of the episode, we like to give you guys, you're both doing your own thing. You guys got your own stuff going on. So we like to each give you kind of the red carpet for the people that are watching and listening. Just kind of plug away. And
do you think someone's going to be here at the end?
Oh, 100%. Because how we test that is we say, hey, listen, if you're still here, shoot us a DM and we'll give you like a T-shirt. We'll give you a sticker, and we'll get DMs like, oh, I listened to the episode. I want my sticker. I'm like, all right. here you go.
You want to go, Nino?
Hey,
Do it.
listen,
It's funny you say that though, because I think that's the
Let's
same
hear
thing.
your thing. man.
Doesn't matter to me, I got a couple things coming up. It's
What do you got, Nino?
Yeah, you got events.
I got a lot of events coming up. I got this event in particular. Big Joe Gambino. We're gonna do a job at Havana Dreams with
nice.
San Giuseppe Cigars. He has his own cigar out now.
Yeah, he
for
does.
sure.
We
So,
actually talked about it. We interviewed him and talked about that one. Yep.
Little by little, it finally the process came through, and we're gonna do a nice event over there at Havana Dreams over in Queens.
When's that?
That is gonna be on November 22nd, Friday.
Nice.
So
Is that
we're
Black Friday?
No,
Tony
no,
Black
no,
Friday?
no,
Hey,
not
T
yet.
Blizzy Friday.
Not yet.
T Blizzy Friday.
Not
always-
yet. And then I'll be over at the Cigar Room in Fort Lee, New Jersey on December 14th. We're going to be doing a nice event over there. The guy, Carlos, he's La Hoja Cigars.
Okay.
So we're going to do a nice Christmas party over there. I got a bunch of stuff coming up. I might be at Cigar Inn, actually, where I all started.
Yeah, we need to talk about that. The bidding needs to come up for you to do this New Year's Eve thing, and I need to make sure that you're getting paid.
I don't know if
for
I
New
told
Year's Eve.
I don't know if I told you this last episode when we had you on, but
Yeah.
years and years ago when I was on Instagram, because you would do the cigar cruises, right? You would do DJing the cigar
I
cruises.
did a couple of them, yeah.
And I remember seeing someone I followed posting you. I'm like, DJ Nino Brown, and I would think of the movie
New Jack City.
New Jack City. I'm like, who has the audacity to have the name DJ Nino Brown? And I'm like, it's this guy. And for whatever reason, I always had that idea. I'm like, who is this? And then obviously through the years of meeting and know each other, I'm like, it's this fucking guy. Now he's in my pockets. Now he's my boy.
You got to understand something, like my real name is Antonino.
Yeah.
So it's like I didn't really just pull this out of the air. Like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna make my name Nino Brown. It just so happened to be that way. Somebody gave me that name when I was a kid, and I just stuck with it.
That's the whole point about nicknames. Yeah,
It's easy to remember, and it's like nicknames aren't, they're given to you. You don't choose them.
You earn them. Yeah,
absolutely.
And I mean,
that's the rule that's number one rule of nicknames.
Yeah. I mean, I remembered you because I'm like, DJ Nino Brown. That's a sick name, but who has a name like that? So that's just
the nicknames, man.
It just ended up that way. I don't know what to tell you.
That was years and years ago when I first got on Instagram.
Yeah,
right? T Blizzy, there's the nickname.
Yeah, T Blizzy.
Done.
That one was around for a little while, quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, so we got
It's you got the audacity.
Oh,
the
thank
audacity to name that Nino Brown thing.
You hold it well. You hold it well,
For
my
sure.
friend.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. As always, letting me come on here and spew some nonsense.
No, we're not letting you come on, bro. You're a part of the fan,
Our
brother.
pleasure.
You're
This
always
is
welcome
great.
here.
Oh yeah, listen, nothing but love for the burn down. I mean, really.
Thank you.
It's worth the journey every time. Man.
Appreciate
Thank
that,
you,
brother.
man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So Tony, red carpet's yours now,
T
man.
Blizzy, talk to
Oh.
him.
Let's
I
hear it.
have I have my YouTube channel, Tony Black NYC, which is like I've been doing for about a year now. I did it for a little while, then I stopped for a while, and then I came back on, and somehow it kind of grew. And so that's been my fun little thing, is the Tony Black NYC on YouTube. I don't really mess around with Instagram or Twitter, but you guys perked my ears open with the X thing. I'm like, maybe there'll be another.
Now, do you do YouTube Shorts?
No.
Okay.
No.
So if I can make a suggestion,
Yeah.
either yourself or find someone have someone make YouTube Shorts for you, because that's where the real growth is on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Because
right.
we blew up on YouTube because we've been on YouTube for years, and until 2.5 years ago, we were almost at 10,000. Now
Yeah.
we're up at 60,000, and
Yeah.
a lot of thanks to that is because
That's
of the shorts.
amazing.
And you can take those shorts and then post them over on X.
Yeah, and post them on
So
X.
it's like
Yeah.
a dual thing.
That's an indictment on the attention span of society.
Exactly.
Now. What are you
Yeah.
gonna do?
Well, because
Yeah.
they want to compete with TikTok and Instagram, so they push the shorts a lot.
Okay.
And
I'll
so,
definitely check
piece
that
of advice.
out. That's
Piece of
good
advice.
I
Are
like
you
it.
Are you still doing any producing or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I'm in the studio all the time. But I have a studio in my place. Just last night I was working with a new artist. I have 20 songs to finish over the next 16 days. I just did a thing where with an artist who got the anthem for a city in Korea. I was the co-producer and engineer of that. He's a classical piano player. So I don't do just hip hop or pop or whatever. But yeah, I'm always doing something to do with it's not just.
You're never gonna get away from it.
Probably not until someone just taps me on the shoulder and says that's enough.
Yeah. You're no longer.
Or someone says hey Tony, and I'm like, and I don't hear them.
Yeah.
That could be.
I know
that
that.
could
until
be
somebody comes in and says you're no longer a fit for our organization.
I knew it wasn't going to work. I knew it wasn't working out with him. You know what I mean?
Oh, man.
Well, listen, guys, we appreciate you making the trek out here. We had a blast. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
Totally.
For those that are listening and watching, please check these fellas out on YouTube, Instagram, on Twitter, or X, I should say. Give them a follow. Check out their stuff. If you like this episode, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and hit the bell. And if you're listening, whatever platform it is, give us the highest rating. Share it with your friends. It really helps us out. Check our website out, burnoutpodcast.com. With that being said, Eric, send them off.
Team Blizzy,
with the
DJ Nino Brown, as we like to say on the podcast. I have a little wine left. We like to send everybody off with a cheers, chin chin, and salute. Thank you guys. Appreciate you all.
Salute. Hustle hard. God bless.
Hustle hard, boys and girls.